is still a huge number. 6.2 million people have died since the onset of COVID, and COVID was identified in the world. That's a huge number of people who've succumbed to COVID-19. The situation is still as is. We advise everybody, if you are able to, please go get yourself vaccinated. Are you online? Because we are already live streaming the show, SpiceFM KE. Say hello and happy Easter, not just to us, but to also other listeners who are tuned in this early morning. Let's say happy Easter greetings after we take a look at the weather. Good morning.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Brought to you by Colgate.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
Yeah! You're listening to Spice FM.
The group of leaders we are having now, these are just like the polymers. The chemical composition is the same.
Are you corruptible?
Hopefully not. And maybe that's part of the problem.
People who have done about 300 speeches and they are not saying anything. What makes you think that they will come in with something really dramatic?
Don't miss out on the latest from Kenya's biggest conversation. SMS TSR to
So City says, let's look up the weather. Let's see how... It's dark.
It's dark, and you cannot see anything outside.
Okay.
Except street lights.
Okay.
That's the weather.
They're saying that Nairobi is going to experience some light rains today.
There were drizzles in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Started at around 2.
Uh-huh.
Drizzles, just on and off and on and off. A pitter-patter that is actually gentle to the ears.
Uh-huh.
And you know it is raining because when you walk out, you find the ground is wet.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's in my neck of the woods because when I leave my neck of the woods...
You are the one who's in Nairobi. Everybody else is not. Anyway, the temperatures are going to rise to 26 later on today and then drop to 16 in Nairobi. Mombasa, rain shower through the day at 32, highs and lows of 25. Malindi is also experiencing lane showers at 32 and lows of 27. Nyeri town, light rain. At 25, highs and lows of 15. Nakuru city, partly cloudy, 25 degrees, the highs and lows of 15. Kisumu city as well, mostly cloudy day at 27 and lows of 20. Kakamega, highs of 25, lows of 12. Clear skies as well in Eldoret, highs of 26 and lows of 17. Dar es Salaam, partly cloudy day at 30, lows of 24. Kampala, rainy day at 24, lows of 19. Lagos, Nigeria, light rains at 31 and lows of 26. Kinshasa, light rain at 30, lows of 23. London, clear skies at 22, lows of 8. New York, cloudy day at 27 and lows of 10. Johannesburg, South Africa, 26, clear skies at 23 and lows of 13, whereas Paris is going to have clear skies at 22 and lows of 9.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
18 minutes
Nairobi.
after 6, Kenya's biggest conversation. There are people who are up and about and already tuned into Kenya's biggest conversation this morning. Kennedy Atinda said, City Muga, I do love how you put your arguments forward. I believe at your age, I'll be with you on the same degree of marking rise to achievable conversations. All the same, good morning, you guys. Listening from Uru Dinyakach.
Thank you. That's a very kind statement. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. Kennedy Umesikia. Willie Bazoo, good morning. He's checking in. Festus Kunaka, bingwa wa Matili Kimilili, Bungoma County, inside. Animovin, hello, good morning to you people. Appreciating conversations. Dwell a lot in agriculture. We should. Yes, we will. Moksem Lachake, Nanyuki Kangaita presented. Karibu Sana, Jori Modiembo, good morning. Spice tuned in from Muhoroni sub-county. Muhoroni, your neighbor.
That is my neck of the woods.
Jorim, you see now that other side?
Yes.
That is City's home.
Beyond the river.
Yeah, on the other side. Abute Water, PMJ, good morning. Mumbi Feli, good morning from Ngangarithi in Nyeri. Karis Babake Chris is also present. Good morning from Nairobi Racecourse, well tuned. Baewa Macha is tuned, of course, from Macha. Andrew Franklin, good morning from Bernard Estate. Good Friday, Master's Connections looming. Let's see if they actually do actualize this. Makedwin Kipkorir, Outer Eldoret, listening. Karibuni sana, everybody. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. CT has the proverb. Where is it from today?
It's
Bokasa's country?
No. We haven't gone. Yes. No. We're still in Gabon. One more day. Yes. Then Monday, we get to Bokasa's country.
Okay.
Right. The witness of a rat is another rat.
And rat here is in the way we see them in what's that movie?
Movie?
Yeah,
Where people are tell on others.
ratting.
Ratting. Yes, there's that
The
one.
Godfather.
No, there is that, and that's the amplified meaning of it. But now there is just a literal meaning of it. Yes. I mean, for instance, even if you consider our legal system, when you call for witnesses, they tend to be human beings.
Yes.
So, the witness of a human being is another human being. So, in this instance, we are extrapolating and we're saying the witness of a rat is another rat. Now then,
Basically, that's their company.
kabisa, thank you so much. Now,
A rat will keep rats company.
yes, now take literally license and expand your mind as to how far that can go.
The witness of a rat
Is another rat.
is another rat. Okay, nice one. Let's look at the newspaper headlines. www.standardmedia.co.ke. Have you become an active member of our online community? Please do. Just log on to www.standardmedia.co.ke and you get access to all the premium content. For example, there's a story that is on the online edition. Why Muturi, and this is Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, dumped Uhuru for DP Ruto. What is the Speaker's game plan in Kenya Kwanza Alliance? Remember, this raised a lot of furore with members of the Democratic Party, even some of them writing to the Register of Political Parties saying, we do not recognize what this man has done. And the Register of Political Parties said, okay, I hear you. That sounds like a complaint.
But
Do you have internal mechanisms of doing
sort it
this?
out. And should you not be able to sort it out, then come back.
Then now we shall take jurisdiction.
The question I actually asked, it's a day of questions. Remember, given that it's Good Friday, it was a day when many questions were asked. Okay? The answer came a few days later, 3 days later, but before the answer came, questions were asked. These are politicians. And for the longest time, Speaker Muturi has been associated, and there has been said, it has been alleged, that he's a close associate of President Uhuru's.
Yes.
So you ask the question, what then does one read to this move that he has towards DP Ruto's party? My simple answer is it's politics.
Politics is about interests.
Yes, it's politics. And when you talk about interests, that is where now you actually raise the real question. Whose interest is being served here? Or whose interests, how many other interests are being served here? What's actually happening here? Was he asked to go there so that he can be a conduit through which communication can continue? And the only way you continue is by him abandoning a certain path and saying, I'm now here, so ostensibly he's there? Is he there because he actually feels that this is where his interest will be served? His party's interest? Is he there because for some reason or the other, he felt that something untoward had happened to him wherever else he had been aligned to? The questions are many.
Many.
Yes, and I doubt if there's an ready answer for all of it. But the beauty about these political decisions, because that's what they are, the truth will out. You don't have to wait 3 days. In our case, it may be 1 or 2 months, maybe 3 months. But you will eventually say, oh, so this is what was happening all along.
Kumbe.
Yes.
Okay. The headline in the Standard today, now we begin politics, I'm sure we'll be talking about what was happening in the party primaries particularly for UDA, which is the headline in the Nation. But the Standard headline is Azimio's power lineup. President Uhuru gazetted as top leader of the coalition, seeking to propel Raila to State House in a move that will make him one of the most powerful political players should this party win in the August elections. The president will chair the coalition political party through which ODM leader Raila hopes to capture the presidency in the lineup released yesterday through a notice by Register of Political Parties and Derito. President Uhuru Kenyatta will chair Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party's 12-member council. The council is the party's top decision-making organ. Raila, through the party leader, will sit in the council as an ordinary member. So Raila is a party leader, but he'll be an ordinary member of the council. The council will be chaired by Uhuru. The other 10 council members, who comprise of top party leaders and the who is who in the inner circles of the two, is Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, followed by KANU chairman Gideon Moi, Governors Charity Ngilu of Kitui, Ali Hassan Joho of Mombasa, NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua, DAP Kenya leader Wafula Wamunyinyi, Abdinur Farah coming after them. Other members include Sabina Shege, Naomi Shaban, Junet Mohammed will also sit in the council. Below the Uhuru-chaired council is the National Coalition Executive Council, to be chaired by Wycliffe Oparanya, deputized by 3 men, Adan Kainan, Ken Nyaundi, and David Murathe. Kitui Senator and Kalonzo ally Eno Kwambua is the coalition's passman. He will be deputized by 3 people, David Kosing, Lucy Moria, Mishimboko. In guarding the coalition's money, KANU's Laisula Lesuda is the coalition's party's organizing secretary, deputized by Senator Abdul Haji and MP Maoka Maore, and again, Junet will serve NCC as the Secretary General, assisted by Moitalel Olekenta, Opio Wandai, and Isabel Githinji. You're seeing it's all the political names basically coming in and occupying positions in this new grand political party. What I wonder is, with this party now being a grand party and it has structures, it has a governing council, it has the NCC, the National Coalition Executive Council, with all these structures, what happens to the constituent parties?
They still exist.
Do they lose strength, though?
They might.
Because now here, if, let's say, that let's assume Raila wins the election.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So Raila is the party leader of
Azimio.
And Azimio has its structure.
Yes. And the constituent members are independent
political parties.
Yes.
So what is going to be the strength of the individual parties versus the strength of the coalition party? Can Uhuru, for example, now order members of he's a leader of Jubilee. Can Uhuru order, as chair of Azimio political party, make a decision that will influence ODM or Wiper or
What I'm
NARC
certain
Kenya?
about is that he can try, but most certainly he can. If I look at just the number of people who keep queuing to join Azimio, among the things, in addition to the things you have said, what seems apparent to me is the freedom and the apparent independence that political parties have is a point of attraction. It means you are not completely lost. And you do have some bargaining power. Meaning, yes, Azimio Secretariat can say what they like, but at some point they have to come and talk to you. Case in point is one Mr. Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka has had issues that he wants resolved. And he is not moving away from the issues until he feels they're resolved. Now, that to me is a sign that a democratic process is taking place here. And other people will follow suit. They'll realize if these people really want me and have some muscle, they may not have Kalonzo's muscle, but they have some muscle. They have a position
to talk to me.
Yes, exactly. Now, that to me is what now will make this Azimio vibrant.
Okay.
Because the agreement seems to be Raila president. That one, no one is.
Yes.
There's no sour. We've agreed. Now, thereafter. Now, thereafter is what will form the basis of the discussions that we're going to be hearing. That is after the dust has settled on the nominations. Because this one, delightful stuff happening right now.
A lot of good
Lovely stuff happening.
And I think also the strength of the individual parties in the coalition party will be based now on the numbers post-election.
Yes.
How many members do you have in the National Assembly?
Yes.
If you are DAP-K and you don't have members, then Wafula Wamunyinyi, even despite being a member of the governing council, we're talking to people who have members.
You know, it will go even further if you ask me. And why I see people scrambling, because you want to show that you have a representation of votes to bring to the table.
Yes.
Now, we will have an election. Post-election, if you have 1 million voters and only 20,000 voted, your discussion with that particular Azimio is going to be interesting. Post-election, we're going to witness even more interesting discussions and movements. Yes.
A lot. This is where the interesting part of things will be.
Yes. And in my opinion, these are the birth pangs of Kenya figuring out its democratic processes when it comes to elections and so forth. Because it's homegrown. We're going to have this, we're going to maneuver this, we're going to have BBI. Let's break a few laws here while we're at it.
Yeah.
Let's try and see if we can't hoodwink people into doing this. This is a process that is happening before our very eyes. When people talk about the IPPG,
Yes.
that was then.
That was it.
Now, this is what we are seeing.
It's a different thing.
It's a different thing, but people are more or less heading and thinking about something similar.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think, though, with this, again, assuming that this coalition then goes ahead and produces the next president,
Yes.
okay? Uhuru gives the sword to Raila at Kasarani,
Yes.
as required by law. Raila now takes the sword and swears, I, Raila Odinga, in full realization of the high calling, do hereby swear I shall be president, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Can Uhuru really influence much
Yes.
politically with this party?
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. To understand political influence, the number issues aside, we do not know how it is that they are going to ferment and then cement the understandings that they have. But it's those understandings that one derives their strength from. The BBI outlined it clearly. Because if you look at the additions of constituencies and what have you, and then an expansion of the executive, it clearly showed you that there was going to be power sharing at this level.
Yeah.
And at this level, we are going to have numbers increasing. Now, the moment you have more people in parliament, you have a far more powerful position than even someone who is just the president.
Yeah.
Because you can be president, but this person who has more people in parliament is giving you hell
Giving
on a
you
daily basis.
Proper hell.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So, if you ask me, opposition politics is going to be very pivotal to the next government. Because those in the opposition have to be the ones who are constantly reminding us of where we ought to be and where we are not.
Yeah.
What the government ought to do and what they're not doing. And if what I see is a sign to go by, it's going to be a good thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very, very good thing, because there is no government that thrives unless they have an opposition that is keeping them on their toes.
Something of note before we take the break. So there are 4 women in this council, the top decision-making organ of this coalition political party.
Yes.
The 4 women are Charity Ngilu, Martha Karua, Naomi Shaban, Sabina Chege. 2 of these women have run for president. Okay? Ngilu Karua. Naomi Shaban is a seasoned politician from Taita Taveta County.
Yes, she is.
Sabina Chege is a 2-term member of parliament.
Yes.
This is some serious rise by Sabina.
Yes, it is.
I think it's notable here.
Politics is like that, my brother, because, you see, she has taken certain steps at the right time and aligned herself correctly at the right time. Politics for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes just that decision to align yourself wrongly can extinguish your political career completely.
Total.
On the other hand, it can put you in a position where your star just keeps rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. Yes. So, Sabina Chege hedged her bets well.
Yep.
And here she is. Remember, if you look at this leadership also, there is also an element of regional representation.
Yeah.
If you look at the women who were in this committee and the other gentlemen as well,
Yep.
there is an attempt at some very strong regional representation. Yes. But Sabina Chege comes out looking very, very good.
Yeah,
Yes.
very strong. Even looking at her 2 terms in parliament, she has chaired powerful committees.
She has.
In the first one, she chaired the education committee during the rollout of CBC.
Yes, she did.
In the second term, she has chaired the health committee at the time of the COVID crisis.
Yes. The thing I like about Sabina Chege, she is not noisy. you don't hear her shouting at every given opportunity. Speaks once in a while, quote a little controversy every once in a while, but she's a politician. Yes. So let's see how this star keeps rising.
True.
Yes.
True. Other stars that are rising is the superstars. Sarah Hassan, for example, won in the 2021 Kalasha Awards as Best Lead Actress for the drama series Crime and Justice that's showing on Showmax. It premiered last year on Showmax, and it stars Sarah Hassan as Detective McKenna, Alfred Munywa as Detective Silas. It also has some powerful and recognizable names like John Sibiokumu as a powerful politician called Barasa. Crime and Justice Season 2 is coming up shortly on Showmax. And how much do you need? 760 shillings per
month.
Every
month.
You keep subscribing.
And every month you pay 760 shillings.
And you get to watch everything?
My friend, everything is a lot of things.
Yes.
Movies. Cinema, documentary.
Pictures.
Adventure. News.
Even news, yes. Keep it here for more. 25 minutes to 7.
Hey, it's getting hot in here. The media has greatly contributed to the moral rot that we experience in this country.
I remember a senior politician telling me, point blank, nobody steals in the field, it's stolen in the granary. So my friend, if you're going to win an election, jipange kwa granary.
I think we are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Our violator and abuser is also our redeemer in our mind.
The whole political class, the whole political institution is rotten. It is based on ideals that cannot progress our country forward.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM.
Okay, Good Friday. It's a Good Friday on the roads. Nothing at all to report. Apart from people who are queuing for fuel at petrol stations. I'm seeing a photo here. Yeah. So near petrol stations, this looks like somewhere in the CBD. I can see somebody who's saying that they have been out queuing for fuel at this petrol station. University Way, yes. Shell petrol station, University Way. Iko Mafuta. And people are going there. So everywhere there is fuel at a petrol station, you will find a bit of traffic. And that's all we can talk about. Otherwise, the major highways, clear. Move if you have fuel.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It is 23 minutes to 7. What are you looking at in the papers?
Well, my friend, I am looking at politics, and even more politics. But the thing that I want to perhaps talk about is the significance of this particular day.
Which one?
Friday, Easter Friday.
Okay.
Which comes after Monday.
Okay.
Thursday. See, Christian faithfuls all around the world will be celebrating this day, but they will be joining Muslim faithfuls who are already in their month, the holy month of Ramadan. Yes. And this year may be a unique year because, one, there'll be no COVID. So the festivities that are associated with this period will go unhampered. People can visit, people can travel. Of course, fuel notwithstanding.
Yes.
But then there will also be the little issue of children going back to school.
Yes.
The ravages of COVID haven't gone anywhere. These have been exacerbated by, we are told, the war that is happening in Ukraine. But significantly, amid such turmoil, the thing that perhaps requires a little more reflection than anything else beyond your troubles, which are there with you, and which at some point will also go away, is why it is Christians consider this to be a very, very holy time. Because in the absence of what the Bible tells us happened between now and Monday, the Christian faith would not exist. It would be non-existent. There had to be a death, there had to be a resurrection. In the absence of that, no Christianity.
No Christianity.
Yes. So, it's a time of reflection, a time for pausing. Sometimes the silver lining isn't where you think it is. Something forces you to sit put. It gives you time to think.
Yeah.
I noticed every time we're coming to work during the period of COVID, the number of people I would see walking or jogging at 4:30, 5 in the morning,
Yes.
there were many.
People become health conscious.
Yes, I dare say the number has reduced since.
Yeah, of course.
Significantly.
They'll tell you they've gone to the gym now. The gyms, you see, the gyms are closed. So there was no option. Now gyms are open, so people are back to the gym. Yeah. So, there's a story here. The High Court in Nairobi has told health workers to hold their horses in their push to have risk allowances increased by the government. Justice Anthony Mrima noted that there was no evidence of discrimination against doctors, noting their request to the SRC for a review of risk allowances. It's barely 2 years. He dismissed a case filed by Dr. Magere Gikenyi, a surgeon, who was complaining that members of county assemblies got 4.5 billion grants to buy cars as an enticement to pass BBI bill. He had sued the SRC, the Council of Governors, the AG, seeking to recover the money passed to the MCAs and county assembly speakers as car grant, lamenting that the president promised each MCA a 2 million shillings grant in his bid to woo them to pass BBI, while health workers were left to fight COVID pandemic with almost empty pockets. According to him, it was unfair to release money to the county legislators while refusing to enhance the COVID-19 risk allowance to health workers. But the judge says legislators have a very different line of work from that of a doctor or a health worker. You can't just come here and say, oh, you know, Your Honor, the government is giving MCAs 2 million shillings and we doctors have not been given risk allowance. Like, Sasa, wait. Do you do MCAs work?
No, you don't.
Do MCAs do your work?
No, they don't.
So now why are you bringing the issues?
Where's the point of comparison?
Yes. It may not be reasonable to expect similar terms of service between health workers and legislators. For instance, whereas a health worker may be reasonably entitled to a risk allowance, depending on many other considerations, it will be foolhardy to grant a risk allowance to a legislator. According to the judge, it took around 8 years for SRC to consider the grant for the MCAs and county assembly speakers. On the part of health workers, I believe their struggle for the enhancement has been under 2 years. Having said so, this court finds that the petitioner has not proved any unfair discrimination on the part of health workers by the SRC. Judge says, since they got into office in 2013, MCAs have been asking for a car grant. Okay? That is one side. You, since the onset of devolution in 2013, just the other day, 2 years ago, is when you started talking about enhanced risk allowance.
Yes.
Now, how is that a discrimination when the people who started their conversation 8 years ago get a car grant and you who started your conversation 2 years ago have not gotten? Where is the discrimination?
You know, if you read what the judge actually pointed out, very simple common sense.
Yes.
Said, I mean, surely, what exactly are you saying? What exactly are you saying?
I can hear you.
Yeah, but what are you saying? And are you sure you really want to bring these points of comparison into this discussion? Because it may not necessarily strengthen your point. Because if you look at it closely, you'll find that you, my friend, are the advantaged one.
Yes.
In fact, you're the one who has not been discriminated against, as opposed to these others who haven't received what they sought after all this time. So, shall we continue?
Alezimo vizuri.
Right. You know, there is an article on page 4.
Yes.
But we'll probably look at this thing in detail, but I just want to point it out anyway. Okay?
Yes.
Remember there was this little noise in Parliament the other day when the Wajir Women's Rep, Fatuma Gedi, said, Deputy President, grab land.
Yes.
And I will provide evidence.
Yes.
Okay?
When will you provide? Tomorrow.
2 days. Okay, let me read. Parliament. The National Assembly, after sitting, was yesterday adjourned after it turned chaotic when Wajir woman Representative Fatuma Gedi tabled documents accusing Deputy President William Ruto of land grabbing. Ms. Gedi had initially made the claims against DP Ruto on Tuesday and was expected to table documents to substantiate the accusations. And yesterday, the woman rep walked into the chambers with a suitcase full of documents. Suitcase.
She was dragging it like
suitcase. However, in case something was left out. However, the session soon turned into a shouting match between Speaker Justin Muturi and a section of MPs. The agitated legislatures questioned whether Mr. Muturi would preside fairly over a sitting where Ruto, leader of Kenya Kwanza coalition, which Mr. Muturi is signed up to, was under interrogation. Interesting twist, wouldn't you say? Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo stoked the fire when he questioned whether Mr. Muturi could be trusted to be impartial. He was backed by Suna East MP Junet Mohammed. I'd like to give guidance because I know you can remove yourself from the situation of conflict temporarily and give clear guidance for present and future on this unpleasant situation, Ms. Otiende said. Suitcase ostensibly full of documents.
Documents, evidence.
Documents.
Of land grabbing.
One gets the impression there was a suitcase. Whether it was full, I've read this article, I don't know.
Yeah. Was it opened? For scrutiny. She dragged the suitcase into Parliament.
But I opened it, no. But
so why was the session adjourned?
Shouting, it got chaotic.
People started shouting.
People shouting back and forth. The usual things. The beauty about our parliament, the seats are nailed.
They could not throw it.
You cannot lift it, you cannot throw it.
And nowadays they're not allowed to walk in with water.
No, they're not. Because people also have a tendency of using them as missiles. So the only weapon they had was their tongue. So they unleashed the tongue. This, in their mind, is the way in which such a matter should be handled. But,
okay, Nisa sawa. Now, in 2014, I can move on to another story.
Yes, we can. Let's move. We have time, I think.
Yes, yeah, we do. In 2014, August 26th to be specific, in Utawala, Nairobi, there was a gentleman who was a chief inspector of police called David Mashui, who was driving a BMW 7 Series, BMW 735 vehicle. Okay?
Serious car?
In Utawala.
Top-end vehicle?
Yes. He was accosted by people carrying AK-47 rifles.
Aye.
One of them is a mechanic called Agri Odhiambo, and there were other accomplices. They used excessive force and they stole the vehicle, which was valued then at 1.2 million shillings. The following day, at London Estate in Nakuru, in the course of stealing the vehicle, they disposed of it, knowing it was stolen or unlawfully obtained. What happened is these guys stole a vehicle in Utawala.
Was the police officer harmed?
Police officer aliachwa.
Okay.
They took the vehicle. Kidogo, radio call over everything. BMW stolen. It's a GK vehicle. It belongs to State House.
Yes, State House has 7 Series BMWs.
It's a State House vehicle. They have stolen it. Driven it chap to Nakuru. They realized it's hot. They left it. Odhiambo's accomplices were Nelson Topicho, Mulati, Robert Mande Ochan, Andrew Young Otieno, and Godfrey O. Simon. 2 of the accused people have since died, and 2 others were acquitted on Wednesday. But the mechanic, Agri Odhiambo Ochieng, has been handed a death sentence by the High Court.
Robbery with violence.
Robbery with violence. Story Meisha.
Remember the story I was telling you? I was listening to this clip of a carjacker who had a road to Damascus experience. And he was narrating his story on one of the talk shows we have in the country. And he was explaining how it is his life turned around. They operated with 2 vehicles. One would block the vehicle they wanted to carjack, the other one would come from behind. On Kiambu Road, they did the very thing that they've been doing for the longest time.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, 4 heavily armed gentlemen who walked out of the car.
They were attempting to carjack cops.
They were attempting to carjack
Flying squad.
Flying squad. The guys at the front took off. These guys at the back panicked, stopped.
What?
They were not shot. They were not killed. But his story was, he said, this wire that you see, the steamer wire, there are few things as painful as that. He said they were beaten with those wires and they were told, you can go. But the next time we see you, the next time we see you, we're not giving you another chance. This is it. Either leave this life,
reform. Perish.
But if we see you again,
because now we've marked you,
we know you, we've got your details, but you can go. We see you again. Where? He realized there are other ways of going to heaven.
Where?
Yes. So this is yet another one. Somebody looks at a vehicle, they figure this is the right State House.
Yes.
It's like stealing directly from the president.
Imagine.
You know that one? No one is going to go soft on you.
First of all, the cops who have lost. This is the chief inspector, all right?
Yes. Meaning he's the driver who's charged with looking after that vehicle.
Senior cop.
You can't get him. Chief inspector is a senior person, Bana.
And then that whole thing exposes, okay, so is our president secure? Is the presidential security top notch? Blah, 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 blah.
But can we also ask the question? Because that is one of those chase cars.
What was he doing in Utawala?
Okay, even if he lives there.
No, he had.
Okay, that one.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah.
After all, he's the one who drives the car.
Of course.
Can he not drop something home and then come back? Well, he had dropped it. And then these people had the drop on him. And then the law had the drop on these people.
That was a proper one. It was a proper one.
There's something that I must say here. I'm looking at Kivumbi 2022 and the articles in the papers, and all of them are reading chaos. But the thing, and more so, there's a point towards chaotic start of party elections in North Rift, UD aspirants protest, blah, blah, blah. Fine. These may be replicated by other parties. But the thing that occurs to me is this. For them to be this sort of chaos, the numbers were large. Not of the would-be nominators or the voters, no, of aspirants. So what does it tell you about this UDA party? This UDA party, in the places where it claims to be popular, it appears it is popular. Now, these are numbers. In the absence of numbers, there will be no chaos. This will be quiet.
Yeah.
People will vote and life will go on. But the moment there are many, the competition is intensified. So it is pointing very, very clearly in that direction.
Yeah.
So we have interesting times ahead of us.
Popularity of a party.
It is popular.
Yeah.
That is why you are finding this particular chaos.
Yes.
Look at any party that is popular and ask yourself if you will not read the same headlines with reference to their party nominations.
Yeah, grumblings, why was this ticket given to so-and-so? Why not me? Did we follow due process?
Yeah, I
Did
gave
you-
money
No,
for this, I wasn't
had
given.
paid. Then I was, yeah. Let's actually talk about these nominations in the next hour. So we also hear from our callers on what they think and what they read out of this.
Yes.
Yeah. KTTC.
Kenya Teacher Training College.
Yeah, actually, technical, yes.
It was the Technical Training College.
The Kenya Technical Training College.
Yes.
At Gigiri.
Yes.
Right there when you enter UN Avenue.
That thing is old.
It's been there forever.
And I remember correctly, it was built by the Canadians.
Yeah.
Yes.
Top
notch.
Many years ago.
Yes, state-of-the-art institution.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, along that road, next to it is the UN. Okay. And then across is the US Embassy.
Yes.
And others. Now, KTTC is being moved from there.
Moved?
From Gigiri.
Brick by brick.
Basically, they're putting up a swanky brand new college away from this area of Gigiri. It is going all the way to Ngong. 4.5 billion shillings will be spent.
Who's putting it up?
The government.
Which government?
The government of the Republic of Kenya.
Really?
will build a new KTTC campus
Okay.
in Ngong.
And what's going to happen to the current KTTC?
According to Vocational and Technical Training PS Margaret Mwakima, this relocation is to pave way for establishment of an exclusive diplomatic enclave in that UN Avenue.
So how much are the diplomats paying for that land?
Who knows?
What's our land?
Maybe we're the ones who are we're going to be landlords.
We're already landlords. It's government land. It's ours. It's a government institution. It's ours.
The UN one, you see, this one now, maybe we're the ones who are going to own this land and then put up a building and then say, so you are who? You're Korea, you want space? Come, second floor. You're who? You want space? Come, first floor.
Eric, do you see that happening?
Yeah.
I see it happening, but who do you think is going to be in charge of that whole process? Because if you are, for this discussion to get to the stage where we are reading the papers, it means other discussions have been had.
Oh, yeah. This is already a done deal.
It's a done deal.
The decision has been made.
Yes.
That KTTC will move from
Yes.
Gigiri.
Yes. So even the details that we're discussing, I'm sure they've got those details.
Yes.
Now, if they've got those details,
yes,
can they possibly share it with us so that we can also know?
So here's what she's saying. Kenya is a party to the signatories to the Vienna Convention, which requires nations to identify an area with proper security, good infrastructure without traffic jams, and with proper setup to be reserved for diplomatic missions. This is what the Vienna Convention says. She says Gigiri has been reserved for the UN, UNEP, the United Nations Human Settlement, the US Embassy, and other diplomatic missions. Hence, KTTC now needs to be moved. Because Kenya, in full realization and recognition and implementation of the Vienna Convention, has said, okay, so this is the area that we're going to make this a green zone for diplomatic missions.
Makes sense.
The Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions, KATI Chairman Glory Mutungi, said TVET institutions require qualified internal auditors, finance and human resource officers to avoid audit queries. That's on our conversation that we are doing. I like the way guys just mix stories here.
They do. So that one is probably more of a reporting issue than it is.
Yeah, but now the first part of the story is where we're talking about why it needs to move.
The reasons they are giving, one can actually understand. But unfortunately, I have to ask a simple question. Remember, the German government had determined to build us a technical university.
They actually signed the deal and they went and they started the process. Remember, at Kiambu, KIST, Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology.
Yes. It would help tremendously if we updated on such things, because
on the progress of the German.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, what was being offered is the sort of technical institution that is a game changer to our country. I understand the need to have these universal institutions, because if you look at, for instance, the National Defense Staff College that we have in this country, and the higher institution that then became a university, South Africa, Egypt had equivalents. But prior to that, people would go to the US, UK for such training. Now, can you imagine the sort of people you attract to your country to come and learn when they know full well that you have the sort of training facilities that enable them to get training not far away from the country, but within the continent? One university that has distinguished itself with that is actually Strathmore. You will find that Strathmore has a very large body of East Africans within its campuses. Why? Because they are proven to be specialists in certain areas. What am I saying? TVETs are necessary for us to move to the next stage of development.
Oh, big time.
Yes.
Big time.
So even as we're moving KTTC, we're already starting one. Perhaps a little more information. Let's not wait until it has finished, then we start asking many questions. Isn't it time they told us this is what we're planning to do? The courses that will be offered, the areas that they will cover, etc., etc., etc.
The new maybe expanded capacity.
Yes. No harm. No harm. How they'll integrate all these courses with all the other institutions that have to do with technical subjects like engineering. All these things. It will be a good thing. The silence doesn't help. Just because they signed, we know it was in the papers. Silence.
And we saw the president of Germany coming, the president of Kenya going to Kiambu. Blah.
Yes. Silence.
Yes.
So
true.
Even as we're moving KTTC, let us be told a little bit more.
Told a bit more.
Yes, please.
Okay, so Colgate has been working in some 7 counties: Kisumu, Siaya, Kakamega, Migori, Kwale, Kitui, and Homa Bay. And it's for the last 4 years, they've been going to these communities and helping to sink wells and drill boreholes. And what they've done so far is some 90 water wells at schools in these 7 counties, benefiting approximately 120,000 lives. This is a big thing. And this is very, very instrumental to people having access to clean drinking water. They want to do 30 more by the end of this financial year. No, this calendar year. And they're saying, what we'd like you to do is walk this journey with us. Go to Naivas, buy Colgate, and when you buy Colgate, some of the money that you've used to purchase Colgate will go towards this initiative of wells. In coming days, we'll be telling you exactly where those 90 wells are, which schools these are, how many people are benefiting in a community, what kind of community they are, what kind of water scarcity they are facing, and why it makes sense to then sink a well. Keep it here for more conversations. Have a good Friday. It's now 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world.
Good morning, this is
94.4
Newsroom
Spice.
Dennis Aseto. Fuel prices in Kenya have gone up by 10 shillings, further adding the pain for motorists who for the past few days have struggled with fuel shortage. Under the new prices issued by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Super Petrol will retail at 144 shillings and 62 cents, diesel 125 shillings and 50 cents, and kerosene will retail at 113 shillings and 44 cents respectively. EPRA DG Daniel Kipto said the government will chip in with the Petroleum Development Levy to cushion Kenyans from the otherwise high prices. He said oil marketers will be compensated 29 shillings and 8 cents per litre of petrol, 40 shillings and 24 cents per litre of diesel, and 26 shillings and 45 cents for kerosene. With the absence of the Petroleum Development Levy, Super Petrol and diesel were to retail at 173 shillings and 144 shillings and 62 cents respectively.
In terms of the super grid, the actual calculated pump prices for the April to May cycle is 173 shillings and 70 cents, and our actual published pump price will be 144 shillings and 62 cents. The difference is what will be compensated by the government, and for the super grid, the government will then compensate oil marketers and cushion consumers to the tune of 29 shillings and 8 cents. When we come to the diesel grid, the actual pump prices as they should be is 165 shillings and 74 cents. We are publishing a maximum retail price of 125 shillings and 50 cents. The government will be able, through the Petroleum Development Levy, to cushion Kenyans through a stabilization to the tune of 40 shillings and 24 cents for the diesel grid.
Now, the fuel shortage in the country has been created by oil marketers. Petroleum CS Monica Juma says that while the world has continued to experience fuel shortages, Kenya has not suffered supply shortage. She says that the government and other stakeholders met and even gave assurances that the government will honor its obligations. She added that the fuel shortage was intentional and amounts to economic crime, and that the hoarding was based on speculation that the fuel review by EPRA would see the fuel prices increase.
The country is sufficiently stocked with petroleum products that our importation process and schedule has not been affected, and that in fact we have quantities that would last us up to the end of June without any issues. I therefore can confirm, even as we stand now, before some of the ships dock, we have 18 days of super petrol reserves. We have more than 20 days of diesel reserves. We have 11 days of dual-purpose kerosene in reserve. So there is no cause for panic whatsoever.
In a warning to the oil marketers, Jum said that the government will not entertain any acts that disenfranchise Kenyans, and that anyone who cannot meet the required standards are free to vacate the Kenyan market immediately.
Any entity that is not ready, that is not able, that is not willing to work within the framework of the laws of Kenya is invited to vacate this market promptly. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, has so far issued show-cause letters to those OMCs that failed to meet the required minimum operational stock levels, thus resulting in stock outs at their respective retail stations.
She added that anyone found to be in breach of regulations will face the full force of the law. She says the government is investigating the matter and will ensure that it brings everyone involved to book.
To all those companies and any other person, whoever is found in breach, I can assure you that we will take stern action against those persons and entities. The Ministry of Petroleum and Mining has filed the requisite complaints with the sector regulator, Competition Authority, and we have also approached state security agencies so that we can track and assess the level of culpability, if any. Let me make it clear here and now that we are going to follow this process to its logical conclusion.
Now, the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutyambai, has directed police to escort fuel tankers at night amid the fuel crisis occasioned by hoarding by marketers and dealers. Police spokesperson Bruno Shoso said that the police will provide security to the petroleum suppliers between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. to guarantee security as the government rolls out plans to address the fuel crisis experienced in most parts of the country in recent weeks. She also stated that the IG had directed police stations across the country to provide security to local petrol stations within their areas with immediate effect. This is News Time. I'm Dennis Assetto. Good morning.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
I think all the conversations around traffic today are not on where the traffic is, whether it's the stand-up or any issues on the road. It is where can people get fuel. That's all I'm seeing on social media. Where can you get fuel? Where are people getting fuel? Total Sabaki, there's a manageable queue.
The queues are smaller today. Yes.
I can see somebody posted a photo. Yeah, there's a manageable queue. This is at 6:50 a.m. on a public holiday, and there's a queue at a petrol station.
Yes. What does that tell you? People woke up early.
Yes. People have been queuing since very early in the morning just for fuel. So wherever you find fuel, okay, just alert other people. Just don't be mean. Just tell others, I found fuel at such and such a place. Otherwise, there's nothing to tell you about traffic snarl-up or accidents or major incidences on the road this morning. Happy Easter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only
7
way to
minutes after
start your
7.
day.
Good morning, and how are you doing? Happy Easter. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation on this lovely public holiday as we celebrate and commemorate Easter. We are glad that you're tuned in. We are live on SpiceFM and on YouTube and Facebook. It's Eric and CT. Ndu is Eastering, and CT has the proverb.
Yes. Our last proverb from the great nation of Gabon. The witness of a rat is another rat.
The witness of a rat is another rat.
Yes.
It's not a Simba.
No. Very unlikely.
Simba, a rat. Witness of a rat is another rat.
Yes.
Yeah. Utawajua kwa vilemba. Something close?
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
Yes. The company you keep.
Company you keep.
The company you keep. Yes.
Birds of a feather flock together. Aye. Right. So this happy Easter, wherever you are as you're flocking, the Movenpick Hotel and Residences Nairobi is giving you the exceptional 5-star weekend. Join for a family Easter brunch and indulge in a delightful selection of meals prepared by Executive Chef Aris and his team of culinary experts, with complimentary pool access to the big outdoor pool to cool off in this Nairobi heat. Charges from 4,500 per person or 5,500 per person, including gin cocktails, and 2,250 for kids between 6 and 12 years. Those below 5 years, free. If you want to escape and extend your stay, you could pay for your stay and brunch for 14,000 shillings for a single occupancy, or just, you know what, get company, pay 16,000 shillings for double occupancy, and this is stay and brunch. Come dine, relax, and enjoy great views of Westlands with SpiceFM's Okoh, who will be hosting the show tomorrow. Okoh Direct, live on location tomorrow, the 16th day, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can make your reservations, hotel.nairobi at movenpeak.com. That's hotel.nairobi at movenpeak.com. Make the reservation, use the code SPICE, and get 10% off the brunch. We'll be having the Movenpick general manager in the studio at 9 o'clock to talk about that hotel, the rotating restaurant, the name Movenpick. There are many people call it Movenpick.
I'm sure the general manager will
come with a whole different pronunciation.
They'll straighten that out for us.
Yes. A lot happens.
The key thing in pronunciation is that you understand what is being spoken of.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So long as you understand it.
That's it.
Tomato.
It doesn't matter.
You know what you're talking about.
Primary.
Same thing. Potato.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yes.
Okay. So you were saying there's a lot that was happening yesterday in party primaries.
There was a lot that's happening in party primaries, but the thing that has captured our headlines, typically, of our way of looking at things, is the mention of what we normally call the ugly side of our politics. Some of it is really not ugly. Some of it is just symptomatic of how engaged we can be in our politics. And that the engagement often involves emotions. And sometimes those emotions flare up and one sees violence. It's this end product of violence that we often condemn and we associate with everything else. But chaotic start for party elections in North Rift. UD aspirants protest bribery and and marked ballots.
Marked ballots.
Marked ballots. They protest. Winners, losers in UD races to be known today. Low voter turnout and transport hitches jolt Kiambu nominations. Now,
the Nation headline: UDA's big day marred by delays, confusion, and rigging claims. The Deputy President's party was forced to postpone the primaries in some polling stations where there was violence, even as some party members found their names missing from the IEBC registers.
Yes. There were many stories. Even aspirants found their names in places where they shouldn't be. But they were competing for the same thing. Now, if it wasn't that one of the things that characterizes our nominations as well as our politics is often the loud and very, very emotional talk of corruption that is involved in it. It isn't something that is privy to just one group. Everybody, depending on where they are and what is likely to happen, especially those who seem that they're likely to lose, the shouts are usually very loud. But that we had nominations. I'm looking at the low turnout in Kiambu, and I'm looking at Kiambu and its proximity to Nairobi. And I'm thinking, if you have fuel problems, you are going to have low turnouts also. Because many people, if it's the police station is next to your house or next to where you live, you'll walk to it. But the others who may wish to go would need transport. So in the absence of transport, again,
issues.
But then again, it also brings back this argument of what should we do when we're looking and seeking to analyze and understand some of these things that are reported. And that's what I said earlier on. When you have the sort of situation that we keep seeing and the pictures that accompany them, we are being told that there were larger numbers. There were large numbers.
Long queues.
Yes. And it also tells you there are many contestants. And if there are many contestants, it means there's popularity being indicated. Because if a party is not popular, the people who wanted to participate in this activity in that party will be few. So that's popularity. Numbers tells you stiff competition. Competition brings out the very emotions I was speaking about earlier. So this may appear to read negative. In my mind, it isn't.
It's a positive thing.
It's a positive thing. It's telling us that...
Positive for whom?
It's positive for me. In my mind, when I study and look at the politics of this country.
Okay.
I am saying that political parties have their followers. And they can rightfully claim that they have takers for the positions that they would like to compete for. That is a good thing, because so long as you have many people competing for these things, what you're saying is that you're seeing democracy in action. Many political parties, many people vying in these very many political parties, vying for the same, that's democracy in practice. It is a good thing.
It's a win.
Yes, it's a win in my mind for us as a country.
Yeah.
It also tells me that come August, we are going to have a very vibrant competition. Because if what we are reading here relates to one party
only,
yes, what about the other parties? What happened with White?
What about other candidates who are strong and opted to go independent?
Yes, what about those? This whole picture in my mind is a picture of a very vibrant election come August.
But also, is it also a picture of a lack of trust or low trust in the processes?
Yes.
Because when you talk about confusion, when for one reason or another, logistical problems happen.
Yes.
And there's delays in opening a polling center. People do not say, okay, yeah, it was raining, or yeah, there was a problem with fuel, or maybe there was a problem with, departing from the location where the polling ballots were coming, the polling materials were coming from. People look at it from the negative. There's a game afoot here. That's why these things are being delayed. There's somebody who's trying to manipulate the system.
But wouldn't you say that they have grounds for holding on to that view? Because unfortunately, our politics is often characterized by those very same things. People voting, people knowing the numbers. Because in this modern day and age, people tally and keep tabs of these things. Now, you may not know exactly who votes for whom, but we do know the areas in which candidates are popular.
Yeah.
We do know.
Yeah.
So if suddenly in the area the person is most popular, they get very few votes. I mean, they have a right to ask, how did this happen? It can happen, but you have a right to ask, how did this happen? So all I'm saying is, it may not necessarily be a regional problem. It is a regional with our politics. Remember, throughout the years of this particular term of this parliament, one of the things that has characterized them is that the things that we feel they ought to have stood firm on with reference to benefiting the ordinary citizen, they haven't. And yet, there's been a lot of noise, and the noise involves, summoning this parastatal head, summoning this other individual who is in charge of this arm of government, summoning this person. Once they are summoned, we even have cases where you have a task force that is put in place. They even read some lame report, because when you read, you ask, why did you have the task force in the first place?
If this
was going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
And the recommendations are not just lukewarm, they're tepid. So you ask yourself, what on earth is this? When you have lawmakers who are elected to look after the interest of the citizenry and the output is often dismal, then you give a lot of fuel to those who would want to cast aspersions on our processes. So the issue of distrust takes center stage.
Yeah.
The same politicians, even the new ones, now they get into it, already people come in when they have a large reservoir of mistrust. So
that's where my point of concern is. That over time, that reservoir of mistrust is actually getting bigger and bigger.
It is getting bigger, and with good reason
and
too.
we should be getting to address it instead of just saying this is what has become our politics. We should actually be getting to address it. Why? Look, in some cases, like I'm reading the story in The Nation here, very many areas where polling in these UDA primaries started very late. Why? Because of logistical issues. There were no vehicles to transport voting materials. But in all these areas where there's stiff competition, people would then be talking about what's happening. Lack of transparency. Let me read you this story. A number of voters in the region of Rift Valley whose names were missing from the 2017 IEBC register were turned away at various polling stations. Nominations had to postpone in 2 constituencies in Turkana due to logistical challenges. Low voter turnout was witnessed in the insecurity hit Elgeyo Marakwet due to fears of banditry. And then in this other area of Nandi, for instance, polling stations in Tinderet, Mosop and Chesumei could not kick off on time because there was no means of transport, with many casting doubt on the credibility and transparency of the primaries. Because of no means of transport, that's the main issue. But people who are queuing there are thinking, what's happening here? How can we trust this process? When that becomes the default, instead of looking at, okay, so what's the issue? We don't have a vehicle. What happened? Was there poor preparation for this? Why did we knew that we were going to have this exercise today? How can there be no transport? Instead of looking at all those things, people are like, hapa tunachezwa.
And as I said,
and we should be addressing these concerns.
We actually ought to, but the people who ought to address it, I mean, why don't we give our politics a bare-knuckled approach, okay? Look at it for what it is and how people campaign. A lot of our campaigning involves the engagement of hoodlums. People whose job is either to scuttle a process, terrify the opponents, and at a moment's notice, cause chaos if it's required to disrupt a process.
It's all disruption.
Yes, it is an accepted part of our politics. Now, and the people who are likely to complain are the helpless citizens who simply just want to vote and go home.
Yep.
We have seen this even in by-elections. We've seen this in elections. Now, the people who offer their services in this manner are paid. So, let's address those who pay them. Is it possible to have an election without these people? And why would we have an election without these people? We can. But why do people feel that this is the way you ought to go? When I ask questions of people who are SPI, they tell me, if I don't do it, others are going to do it.
Yes.
Now, you see, that isn't the reason. If I don't, then I will lose.
Then I'll lose.
Ballot boxes have been known to be taken off with, meaning people arrive at a polling station and suddenly
there's chaos.
Then ballot boxes are fewer.
Go.
Or suddenly the light has gone off, somebody shoots in the air,
at the tallying
scamper. You come back, ballot boxes are fewer.
Yeah.
Or others
or they've been swapped.
It's happened so many times over so many years that just like the hooligans and the hoodlums are an institutional part of our electoral process, casting aspersion, doubt and mistrust, unfortunately, have joined them. But let's address what you're saying. Is it not time we address it? We should.
We should.
But the question we want to ask is, those who aspire, do they want to address it?
Do the politicians really? Do those who are going into this competition really want to deal with it?
Do they really? Not really. Because these very same hoodlums are the very same people whom they use for mobilizing people to vote for them.
Yeah.
Same. And as far as they're concerned, it's considered a normal part of the electoral process. I dare say, though, that over time, the sort of extreme violence we used to witness in earlier years where many people would die, that has ceased. Just about ceased. There'll be violence, yes, but not on the scale we once used to see it.
Yeah.
Which means it is possible to do away with it completely.
Yeah, it's possible to address it fully. It is possible.
And then there are those also whose business it is to ferment and then operationalize disruptions. They'll be out of jobs.
Yep. The thing is, though, that like you said, if we look at the turnout, it's been reported as low turnout, but still, I mean, you've got thousands of people actually turning up to vote in a party primary. To me, it's not a low turnout.
That's a very high turnout.
It's a high turnout. There were long queues, there is emotion, there is competition, and all taking place in the UDA primaries yesterday. There was still also some good turnout being recorded in areas when ODM was conducting its own primaries. And look at the organization of ODM. They were using tablets. You come in there and you find, a tablet with the aspirants, and then you select the one you want. It was, a bit organized, okay? But it still shows you that there is, you can look and see which are the dominant political forces in this general election that's coming.
Yes.
You can clearly see.
You can. I mean, those have been clear for some time. But also, the answer to your question lies in the political parties themselves and how organized they wish to be. I believe that this organization is deliberate.
It's part of...
Yes. It's part of this process.
To what end?
When the process is chaotic, anything is possible. When it's orderly, it can be easily audited. But the moment you might with violence and this and the other, you're not really sure what's really happening.
So how does it benefit the leaders of the party?
The people who actually orchestrate it and who take charge of it know what they want. So they need this. This is the background from which they will now operationalize. So when the outcome is then announced, remember, we have
had to postpone.
Yes, we are a country where we've had candidates thanking people for voting them in when the process has not even taken place. The nomination has not one ballot has been cast, and somebody is thanking people for voting them in, and they actually end up being
winning the certificate.
Yes, we are in a country where people have shown certificates before a nomination has taken place.
On, City. Oh, man. A day before the primary, someone is already saying Asanteni Sana.
People are queuing.
Waranchi.
No, people are queuing. We are waiting. Ballot box hasn't even arrived. Okay?
And is there already singing?
You're listening to a local vernacular station, you're saying, I just want to thank the voters, and thinking, what? Voters? Where? This process hasn't even taken place.
And telling them August 9th, we are going to do the same.
Precisely. Or you have a situation where somebody says, oh, yes, we've had this party nomination, blah, 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 and suddenly there are 4 people with certificates. And you're wondering, but I thought it's supposed to be one person. So how did 4 people end up with certificates?
All signed by the National Elections Board of the party.
And they're genuine certificates. And then you wonder why it is. People cast aspersions on our processes.
People saying they've been given
certificate. The thing is, they kick a fuss and say, oh, you want a certificate? You paid for it. Do you have a certificate? Yes. Then?
What's your problem?
At what point did we say you're the only person who will have the certificate? We only said you will get a certificate.
Okay. Other political parties that are still conducting their nominations. DAP Kenya, that's the Democratic Alliance Party of Kenya, has issued direct tickets to aspirants who are vying for various seats across the country. DAP-K leader Wafula Wamunyinyi says they'll issue direct tickets in areas where there is only one candidate or aspirant, or other aspirants have agreed to back one of them. So those who have benefited, former Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembea, seeking to be Trans Nzoia's next governor, ticket mfukoni. National Assembly Speaker Kenneth Marende, former National Assembly Speaker Kenneth Marende, wants to be Vihiga county governor, ticket mfukoni. Kisii gubernatorial aspirant Senator Samongeri, Bungoma Governor Wycliffe Wangamati, who is defending his seat, ticket mfukoni. Latiff Mohammed of Garissa, John Pesa Migori, George Mwandembo of Taita Taveta, Busia Deputy Governor Moses Mulomi. Wangamati is asking the aspirants to embark on serious campaigns because ticket wapi.
But Eric,
mfukoni.
Is this not what we're saying? These fellows are doing what other parties ought to do. Why take us through this? If you want to give people direct tickets, give them. You are allowed to give them.
But then, okay, like you started by saying, when you see this kind of people turning up, lack of agreement on the candidate, that people have to go into universal suffrage, it shows you that this party is popular on the ground.
It is.
When a party is not popular on the ground, then there are not many people who are seeking its certificate.
When a party is new. This party is really new.
Which, DAP-K?
It's really new.
So?
It means it may have followers, but they have come to an understanding with their people. And
in 2013, TNA was really new. URP was really new.
TNA was not just new. TNA had some really serious backers. So its newness had power.
Was old.
It had power. It had many horses. It had horsepower.
It had old money.
Yes. So it's not like DAP-K.
Not like DAP-K.
No. That's a Mwananchi party. The people are struggling to figure out how to go about this thing.
Yeah, to say DNA.
Yes. That one, it came fully loaded. Surround.
System.
Yes.
Same
Roof,
now with UDA.
Yes, exactly. So the parties are not quite the same.
Same with UDA.
Yes,
in the last election, UDA was called what? PD whatever?
Yes. Now
it's huge. Okay. Migori. Ochilo Ayako has been given direct ODM nomination to vie for governor of Migori. by ODM, according to Chairman John Mbadi. Mbadi said an opinion poll done in the county showed Ayako, who's a killer ally of Raila Odinga, was the most favorite to succeed Okoh, who's serving his second and final term. Woman Rep Pamela Odhiambo and businessman Philip Mwabe were also seeking to fly the ODM flag. But John Mbadi says Migori Governor ODM ticket is going to Achilo Bwana. We have Pamela, who was strong. We are negotiating on where we can place her.
Yeah. That's democracy.
It is now being called joining the presidential campaign.
Isn't it just?
Join the presidential campaign team. Then we shall see where to place you after the elections.
You know, one of the things that I think the ODM tussle within Migori County, and more so what has been portrayed in the media and what we have seen and witnessed as Governor Obado's position when it comes to the party and his frosty relationship with party leaders in ODM, I would argue that he has helped Ochilo's ascendancy tremendously. Yes, because imagine you are somebody who is aligned to Obado and you want to stand. What do you think your chances are going to be? I think you get my point. Or people allege that you are aligned to Obado. What do you think your chances are going to be?
Kwesha. But then, like you've said very many times here before, Obado has won twice because of his popularity. Not because of party, but because of Okoth Obado's popularity and connection with the ground.
Yes.
So I could also just put it back to you. If you are aligned to this person who is very popular on the ground, then you also have stand a high chance.
You used to stand a chance.
You used to.
You used to. Now, because of what you mentioned just a few seconds ago.
Which is?
The presidential
campaign, national campaign in brackets.
It changes this thing completely because previously, our current Azimio presidential candidate was an opposition leader. So he was essentially in the wind. Powerful, popular, but in the wind. Okay? Power from the people.
Yes.
Right now...
He has the wind.
He has the wind, Baba. So it changes that game completely.
Proper.
Yes, and the voting public can see and they know. And the voting public wants to align themselves to a winning side.
Indeed.
Yes.
Season 2 of Crime and Justice is here. Season 1 was good. It came out last year, 2021. Very, very popular. Very popular show on Showmax. Season 2 is here and Showmax is telling you, look, if you missed out on Season 1, it's still on Showmax. Season 2 is on Showmax. You can basically just do binge watching. Various very good episodes. You know, Crime and Justice is episodic. Every episode deals with its issue and concludes from beginning to the end. There's a crime, someone has died, Detective McKenna and Detective Silas are unleashed to go and investigate this. They dig up the evidence, then they come back, and then they go to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor tells them, what are you giving me here is crap, man. I can't take this to court. They fight, they argue. McKenna is very, very emotive about it, and she says, look, this is femicide. We've got to deal with femicide. DPP is like, yeah, but give me evidence. I'm not disagreeing that it is femicide. Bring evidence. Silas has to calm her down and tell, let's go and try and look for more evidence. They take the case to court. It is very, very interesting. When you watch this, and then you've watched the other crime and detective series from the West, you feel these guys actually, they match up. Quality of production, quality of cast, quality of editing, quality of the storyline, brilliant. Showmax is showing this just for 700. How much, City?
60. Kenya shillings per month. Entertainment, movies, adventure, documentary, sports, news.
Kila kitu.
Yes.
It's there.
760.
That's the starting point.
Yes.
Go to www.showmax.com and subscribe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Brought to you by Colgate.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM.
only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play.
Smoking shisha and releasing things on your smoke like a Subaru.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you want God to give you a man who has a mission and a vision.
You may create an illusion of because he's younger, he's interested in me or he likes me, but he's using me.
Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840.
The Adults in the Room.
There's so many people peddling what is false and that it bears remarkable resemblance to what is true.
Politicians have their agenda, and their agenda is to use every opportunity to sell that agenda and to loot this nation.
I have seen major strides that are done in this country when we talk to each other as against talking at each other.
We start getting back into the tribal cocoons which were put to us by the colonial powers. You know, they gave us physical freedom but not mental freedom. We're still mentally colonized today into these cocoons of tribe.
Now, if you live in an area where it's difficult to find a dog,
he's a goat. I kid you not.
In which part of this country is it difficult to find a dog? So that you resort.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Okay, like City said, the weather is on holiday. Nairobi, light rains today with highs of 26 and lows of 16. It's currently 18 degrees Celsius in Nairobi at 7:30. Mombasa, expect some rain showers today, highs of 32 and lows of 25. Malindi, light rains at 32 and lows of 27. Kisumu City, light rains at 27, lows of 20. Nakuru City, mostly cloudy day at 25 and lows of 15. Nyeri Town, light rains at 25 and lows of 15. Kakamega Town, sunny day at 25 and lows of 13. And also Eldoret Town, rain showers, 26 and lows of 17. You say town so that people can recognize that Nakuru is city. Nakuru City. Kampala, Uganda City, rain, highs of 24, lows of 19. DRC Kinshasa, cloudy day at 30 and lows of 23. Johannesburg, South Africa, clear skies at 23 and lows of 13. Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, mostly cloudy day, 30 degrees highs, lows of 24. Lagos, Nigeria, mostly clear skies at 31, lows of 26. If we go around the globe, New York is going to wake up to a mostly cloudy day at highs of 21 and lows of 13. The UK, London is partly cloudy, highs of 22, lows of 8. Paris, 9. Clear skies at 22, lows of 9. Beijing, 9. Sunny day at 21 and lows of 5.
Spice up your life.
Okay, like you're saying, today, traffic updates are all about where you can get fuel. So fuel is now increasingly available in various petrol stations across the country. Remember, it is close to 10 shillings more if you're fueling in Nairobi. Someone is saying, I've just fueled at Rubis Hurlingham. There are no queues. Astro Tawala, there's a lot of fuel, no limit on how much you can fuel. So it appears that this morning you're actually waking up to a happy Easter because fuel is back. All they needed to hear was the announcement by IPRA or the threat by the Cabinet Secretary for Energy, acting CS for Petroleum. Whatever it is, there's now fuel. There will be queues, of course, in some parts of the country for some time in the day, but hopefully this time, it actually does normalize. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
City, we'll look at the fuel
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Call us and tell us where they're finding fuel and whether they're long or short queues.
I think we should.
We'll do that at 8 o'clock. There's an interesting story at the sports pages of The Nation, okay?
Mhm.
Remember on Wednesday, President Uhuru Kenyatta was at the Langata military barracks.
Yes,
the
he was.
Langata Army barracks.
Yes.
And he was, what was he doing? Commissioning the Ulinzi Sports Complex. Inaugurated on Wednesday, Ulinzi Sports Complex at the Langata barracks. It's a huge thing. It is a complex, not a stadium. The sports complex is made up of a main stadium, an indoor arena, and outdoor courts for basketball, tennis, volleyball, handball, an Olympic-sized swimming pool, recreational nature trail, right?
Yes.
It was commissioned on the 13th
It was.
of April 2022.
Which is Wednesday.
It started, groundbreaking was done on October 28th, 2020.
Yes.
By the President and the Chief of Defense Forces, General Robert Kibochi.
Yes.
October 2020 to October 2021 is 1 year. October 2021 to April 2022 is how many months?
6
Let's
plus
do
3.
end of March.
6 plus 3 is 9.
Okay? So 9.
From October now to this.
Yes.
So my friend, how long has that thing taken?
Why are they 6 months?
No, I'm just counting. October 2020, 2021, 1 year.
1 year. Then October to December.
October to December, October, November, December, 3 months.
3 months.
Then 4
January
months, 7.
January to
April
to March.
4 months. 7 months.
7 months.
Yes.
1 year, 7
7
months.
Dusted.
An entire complex like Kasarani done. It's only that it doesn't have the size and capacity of Kasarani, but it's an entire complex.
It has a 7,500 capacity.
Imagine,
which is
in the
a lot.
stadium.
Yes, and this was the first stadium that we actually had in this country. That ground, 60 years ago, when we talked of a stadia where people could have activities, it was on that very spot.
Where?
That very spot at Langata.
In Langata?
Yeah, 60 years ago.
There was a stadium?
Yeah, 60 years ago.
What happened?
Well, there's always been some sort of stadia.
There was a facility.
That actually is the right word,
All right.
facility.
So there's been a
Because
facility here.
in those days, a stadium was grounds with goalposts.
Yes.
Stadium.
Like Rorengo Stadium.
Yes.
Kaharete Stadium. Kemarin Stadium.
Yes.
They were all called stadium, but it's just a ground where
Posts on both sides of the field.
You can play football and you can run. There's a track.
Yes, and then the rest of you can
Nemechoro
stand
na choka.
and you can. Yes, of course it is. And if it rains, that's gone.
That's gone
And
until
then-
next time.
And where the goalkeeper stands, there's a patch of mud.
Yes.
Because they have worn out the grass. They just
Yes.
simply walk on the same spot over and over again.
Now it's a proper stadium.
It's a proper sports complex. It has a place for football. It has tracks, and it has all the other facilities
It's a
that you
swimming,
mentioned.
Olympic-sized
But
swimming.
of interest, they're also saying it is free.
Huh?
Because people will want to utilize it, all you need to do is to be careful to book in advance. That's it. But it's open to the public.
Come and use it.
Yes. It's a national institution.
It's not a military facility.
Well, it's nestled within the barracks, but other people can come and use it.
All right.
Yes. Now, I want to see a situation where you have a football match and people want to cause chaos.
Inside the barracks.
Inside the barracks.
Hey.
It's one of the safest place to have any activity.
Those ones, take them there.
Any activity that you
Gore
do,
FC.
there.
Ulinzi. Go Ulinzi. Ulinzi. The question though, City, and this is actually even what the question in this story is asking. There are several regional stadia that are still under construction or renovation since 2013, despite the government spending over 1 billion shillings on them, with additional budgetary allocations annually from the Sports Fund. These include the Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Uasin, the Kamarin Stadium in Elgeyo Marakwet, Ruringo Stadium in Nyeri. Others are Water Stadium in Makueni, Kinoru Stadium in Embu. The Treasury has allocated 125 million shillings for refurbishment of regional stadiums, an increase from 90 million allocated in 2021. It comes at a time when the president has focused on sports facilities. He opened the refurbished Jamhuri Park Sports Complex on March 26th at a cost of 609 million shillings. The facelift started in August 2020. Inside the grounds are 3 football pitches, a rugby pitch with a neatly trimmed grass surface. The pitches, which have been fitted with underground sprinklers, are separated by walking paths done in Cabro. A running track, 3.7 kilometer Maram Road, trail, 2 ablution blocks, 2 changing rooms, 2 picnic sites, children playing area, a powerhouse are the other major developments. So, since 2020, August, the president went with military and he has done 2 sports facilities.
Yes.
One inside the military is in and they told military, Jengai.
Yes.
The other one at Jamhuri.
The Ngong Road one.
The Ngong Road one.
Yes.
That one they had closed off, he launched it. It's done. It has football, rugby, walking
My
tracks,
friend,
and all.
3 football pitches.
Imagine.
Just so that you understand.
Yes.
When you say it's a complex, my friend, basketball, handball, children's playing, police houses, my friend, it is a complex.
It's a proper one.
Yes.
2 in this short time. So you ask yourself, so these others
these ones
that he promised in 2013 when he was campaigning to become president, and by the end of 2017 when he was campaigning to be re-elected as president, he was still promising. What is the story behind them?
Wouldn't we like to know?
Kamarin moved nowhere. In Eldoret, go to Kipchoge Keino Stadium, some,
Brother,
useless.
it's nowhere. It's anywhere near.
Buhungu Stadium in Kakamega, have you seen
Let's
it?
go around the country.
Roringo, I don't know land, I don't know
Why
what.
don't we talk about even Afra Stadium in Nakuru? I mean, just go around and ask yourself the simple question. Go to Mombasa, go anywhere.
In fact, those ones are even better than there's a stadium.
Yes.
All right?
The stadium existed.
I was in Wote, so you remember?
Yes, you were in Wote.
For the Devolution Conference.
Yes.
I went looking for this. In 6 months' time, the stadium in Wote will be complete. I went. There's a signboard.
Is there an open field?
There's a signboard. There's land.
That's it.
The signboard says this is by, sports stadium, blah, 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 blah. Construction of water stadium,
Blah, blah,
contractor,
blah, blah,
so
blah,
and so, blah, 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 blah. Under that is where everybody in Watertown dumps their garbage. Not even a place where you can say, there's a semblance of some, playing field where people come and play. Nothing. Water stadium, zero existence. Well, at a place where the signboard is, this is where Water Stadium shall be. Nothing. So you ask us, so what exactly is it? I'd like to actually have the conversation with the president, because the fact that he has done these 2 and he's been very, very personally involved in seeing them to completion tells you something.
Look at the trail. Let's start off with when we were burying our former President Moi. And Nyeri Stadium was supposed to be refurbished. And we saw the song and dance, didn't we?
Yep.
Then, again, personally, realized nothing is happening here. National Youth comes in. Spanking swanky. Same group of people taken for the actual funeral. One of the most orderly functions I have ever seen. My friend. Clockwork. Then, what followed thereafter? Kenya Meet.
Yep.
This, the other.
Nairobi had been done.
Yes, appointment. Now, there's something, we've had a discussion here with Njiro Gikonyo on a subject that's dear to our heart, state capture. I think the meaning of state capture, from what I observe and from what I see, is far broader than I have understood it to be. Now, this is my understanding, not what it is. Because what it is, I'm not really sure. Okay. Every time I think I understand it, something else comes up and I realize what I understood was completely incomplete.
Yes.
I'm looking at what is known to be what ought to be done, and then there are those who are charged with doing it, and then there is the process of actually getting it done. And behind this, there are all these bureaucrats within what we call the government.
Yes.
Okay? My understanding starts with the time when the president came in all hot and heavy and determined and suspended all procurement officers.
Yes. Said, go home, we are
tired.
Cleaning the house, draining the swamp.
Yes. You drain the swamp, it rains. When it rains, water will go back to where you drained. And even you do not put in place a mechanism for ensuring that the drainage is constant. Nothing much changed with that announcement. then I look at the things that have happened in his tenure, the things that don't just raise eyebrows, but cause great concern, because they involve pilfering of state coffers.
Yes.
So you ask yourself, the president stands up and speaks, and the man, when you listen to him, is sincere. You listen, you say, this guy seems to mean what he's saying.
Yeah.
Unless he's a really very good actor, he means what he's saying. Not long after, you realize, hey, my friend,
nothing is moving.
Precisely. Among the conclusions I came to, this one universal conclusion. I said, when you have a government and you have the sort of give and take that Kenyans are used to, and you have the unformulated, now they're formulated coalitions where people have an agreement as to 50-50 and people bring in their own, you tend to have governments within governments. So there is what ought to be done, and then there's what you think your leader wants you to do, and then there's what you want to do for yourself.
The intended or unintended consequences,
yes.
No lack of control,
Yes.
proper control.
Actually, it's deliberate, because the absence of control is what enables you to get what you also want done, because you are not going to walk to that place to get it done.
Yeah.
So the only way you ensure that it gets done is you allow that individual, make a lot of noise against it, but the individual is allowed to do something that you know will benefit them, and in so doing, they also benefit you. The benefit that accrues to all these people in civil service, in government parastatals, emanates from understanding that you carry out certain mandates for your appointing officer. I'm not talking about the Public Service Commission. The person who actually made sure you got that job.
The person who gave you the job.
Who gave you the job. And while meeting this mandate, you also have an opportunity to slice off something for yourself. Now, it keeps the wheel moving and everybody is happy. And nobody kicks a fuss. Now, the problem with that is now what we are now saying. At some point, depending on who is in charge and depending on the demands, the resources will never achieve what they're supposed to achieve. Because if that action is carried out by other people up until the county level and the simplest level of our administrative structure, what then remains to actually do the job is minuscule. So the job never really gets done.
So is it, it's a good thing we had Ednah, the president's spokesperson, the other day in the studio. Next week, we'll be having the secretary of the president's delivery unit, Andrew Okoh, in the studio, just seeking to understand the president's mind. Because when I looked at these two projects, I started asking myself, what exactly is the president basically showing us? These two projects, he has taken personal and direct control of these ones. Not just these ones, even Uhuru Gardens. Remember Jamhuri Day, he said, I have been coming to inspect this project personally, and I've been accompanied by Raila.
And you've seen what is happening in Uhuru.
Seen what has happened at Uhuru Gardens.
We are seeing
some
it.
Serious work.
Hey, my friend, that thing is serious.
He did the same thing with the Michuki Park.
Yes.
He was personally going to inspect the work that was being done by General Badi at Michuki Park. Michuki Park is now complete.
Michuki Park is beautiful.
Beautiful, lovely place.
Michuki Park is very beautiful.
This is the same thing he's done with this Ulinzi Sports Complex at Langata Barracks. Same thing he's done with the Ngong Road project, the Jamhuri Park Sports Complex.
It boils down... Yes.
That there is indiscipline in government.
Oh, no, this isn't indiscipline, Eric. It is gross indiscipline.
That a president does not actually have... President can come in and promise, you know what, I want us to roll out a project that will benefit the youth in the country. Across the country, let's have these youth sports facilities, let's have innovation centers, let's have this and the other. You put it, you even say government policy shall be, we shall finance this. We allocate budgetary allocation into it. As you have seen, we have been putting a lot of money into sports stadia. Over 1 billion shillings has gone into the sports stadia. No, nothing.
There are things which the president evidently has no control over. None. He can ask, he can seek, and he can even instruct. But somehow, that is now the divisive nature of our politics and the structures that our politics help bring about. You may be president, but they're not listening to you. They're listening to somebody else. You can say what you like.
You say, but
they just say. And
so you have 10 years, maximum 10 years, you'll go.
Yes, they will tell you, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then they'll go away. They've said yes, sir.
Yes.
Then they'll continue what they're doing before. and you come back and you say,
next time you ask for a report, they say, yeah, we have actually made progress.
In fact, what we've done, let's give you deadlines.
Yes.
President comes out and makes deadlines, and here we are in the situation, we're like in this deadline, surely. President. March.
Who told you March?
I mean, who are these people who keep telling you these things? We'll reduce electricity by 33%. I mean, who tells you these things? But I also believe that the people who did the maths and figured out that you could reduce
with 33%,
they meant what they said and they knew what ought to be done. Then they started going about trying to do it.
Then they met the ground.
Then they met the ground. And the ground was hard and unshakable. So, at some level, I think you can summarize it by using the statement you just used, in that the president's directives meet the ground. And sometimes the ground is unyielding. So what do? You take a detour.
You try and do something else.
You figure, no. I have to show that I can do something else. Because it's clear, this is not going to, it's clear to me, this one is not going to work. It's clear to me. This path I have chosen is not going to work for me. And I am the president. And then it also points to his personality. This is a fellow who likes what you call bonhomie. He's an easygoing chap. And people like that tend to, you're given a job, he expects you to be doing it.
Yeah.
Yes. See, you are not who got the job. Now, there are sectors where you find people who got the job and are doing it, and you can see things are being done. But then, this government was never entirely President Uhuru's. They divided it. And even as they divided it, there were other people who had been in government before, and there are people who are still there. So, my friend,
you come in with your own plans. Those are your plans.
Yes, and within the coalition or the understanding you've come with, that uniformity and unity of thought isn't entirely there.
What does that tell us, though, about, government and what we expect from government? Because the thing is, if you look back at what the president has tried, because clearly you can see this is one thing that he said, I promised stadia. Let me at least get out and say, I did not deliver that number of stadia, but at least I've delivered some sports.
He can point to, and in fact,
say it's a different thing from what we've been knowing as stadia.
When he commissioned Langata, he said, other institutions such as this one will be judged by what we have set here.
Yes.
Okay? Brother, in less than 2 years, you have it.
You have it. In less than 2 years, you have 2 sports complexes.
Yes, you do. In less than 2 years. Done, dusted. 609 million.
It has taken forever to get Kirigiti to where it is. Kirigiti, there are photos that we see, aerial photos showing Kirigiti Stadium is working in Kiambu. It's not yet been commissioned. Started when he became president.
Eric, the complexity of our situation in this country and how it is things work, I think when you look at details of government projects, they reveal to you a great more than you may ordinarily think. I found the Aurora and Kimorer Dam saga very instructional and very revealing. When pictures are taken of a place and you get the impression that even that grass has never been touched, it's as God made it, or as after the cattle probably moved along it. Now, up to that point, you can understand this is the area you want to do A, B, C, D. We understand all that. Then the thing which puzzles you, you then have a company from Italy who is suing us for breach of contract and want to be paid. And you're thinking...
paid for what?
I'm thinking, paid.
For signing paper.
Precisely.
Yes.
And then you're also being told that the Treasury released, was it 21 billion? Was it 27 billion? It's gone. And I'm thinking, wait, let me listen to this thing and understand it carefully. There was a dam which was supposed to be built. Absolutely and completely nothing happened, and yet money was transferred and given.
Yes.
Then you say, hey, you mean it's like this?
Ukora Reloaded.
Yes, you're asking, you mean it's like this? We thought that the Kenyan way was you build something and you eat from it.
This one is...
You eat everything.
Then... Eat the sand, eat the soil.
Eat the future, and then load the cost on the Mwananchi and their progeny.
Yeah.
So it's not just us, our children and theirs.
Future.
And you're thinking, now, so this is where we are. Now, ask yourself a simple question. If you're the president and you have an understanding of these things, you are going to live in this country, what do you think your people are going to be telling you?
The question is that Constitution of Kenya 2010 created institutions, and we said, you know what, we are not going to be dependent on a man to do the job. We shall depend on institutions to make sure that the man does the job. Still.
Yeah, but then you see the problem with cascading the very process that we've mentioned
into institutions.
Yes. So everybody you see in a position of authority is an institution.
Now there's
everyone, not grouping, everyone. The MP institution, MCA institution, the individual. Any monies that come into direction will have the same fate. Same fate. So
Tanui says, what bothers me is that the president is praising the military for delivering this project in record time and with no corruption. He says the message to ordinary Kenyan then that he's getting from the president is that to win corruption, we need the military to take over government operations.
Well, that is certainly an interpretation of it. But also, there is a simple interpretation. It's merely stating the fact. Yes. We have seen, they have done, there is no doubt that it exists. If you doubt, you only need to go and visit and you will find that it actually exists. So, the statement is backed by something factual and tangible that you can see.
Something tangible.
Yes.
Talking about water, make sure that you help very many communities get access to water. Some 30 more wells that are going to be dug and sunk by Colgate in association with well boring. If you walk into Naivas today, go and buy Colgate. Part of that money will go into building these wells. They've been sinking wells in schools, supporting communities to get access to free water. Coming up, more conversations. It's now 8 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswell. Dennis Aseto. The United Democratic Alliance Party has postponed its nominations in areas that are affected by chaos to next week on Tuesday. The Deputy President William Ruto-led party, which conducted the process in 36 counties across the country, saw some of the regions marred with violence as aspirants cited unfairness. DP Ruto, addressing the press at the Hustler Center, sought to reassure party members of transparency in the contested regions as he lauded all stakeholders involved in their work. The DP said the exercise would be undertaken afresh in polling stations where they were disrupted due to varied number of reasons.
That all areas that were postponed will not be done tomorrow, they will not be done on Saturday, but they will be done on Tuesday. And that is to provide members of the board to make sure that the necessary preparations are made, new ballot papers are printed, and new material is prepared to make sure that that process also goes through smoothly.
The UDA leader intimated that aspirants who would not be contented with the outcome of the results would be given a chance to forward their complaints to the Dispute Resolution Committee in a bid to exercise democracy.
Whatever disputes will arise from the Tuesday exercise, which will be 5% of the exercise we had today, would take way a shorter time for us to resolve and be able to do whatever it is that needs to do. Bear in mind that there are alternative processes. After we've gone through the nomination, there are also alternative processes of how to arrive at candidates looking at various other parameters.
Now, Njogu Njoroge, who was eyeing the UDA ticket for the Njoro parliamentary seat, has conceded defeat after losing to incumbent Charity Kathambi in the party's primaries. Njoroge thanked his supporters, saying he respects the wish of the people of Njoro. Graceful in defeat, Njoroge also wished the winner well and thanked those who were supporting his bid as well as those who had supported him financially. Results on various nomination exercises that took place yesterday continue to stream in and will be bringing you the latest once they are confirmed and verified. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has been gazetted as the chairperson of the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Council. In the Gazette notice dated April 13th, Azimio presidential flag bearer and ODM leader Raila Odinga has been named as the party leader and council member. Those also listed as council members include Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua, KANU chairman Gideon Moi, NARC leader Charity Ngilu, DAP-K party leader Wafula Munyinyi, Murang'a woman representative Sabina Chege, among others. Suna East member of Parliament, Junet Mohammed, has been listed as the Secretary General of the Executive Council of the coalition. Meanwhile, President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced that he will soon be joining the Azimio team in campaigning for Raila Odinga in the Mount Kenya region. Speaking at AIPCA Kandara Church in Murang'a County, President Kenyatta said his temporary silence should not be interpreted as fear. He criticized politicians who were mocking him over his political decisions, saying his main role is to unite the nation. Now, 4 suspected drug traffickers are in police custody after being arrested at the Likoni Ferry Channel in Mombasa. The suspects were arrested by detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Transnational and Organized Crime Unit after they were found ferrying a substance suspected to be heroin. Ali Mwakileo, Swale Mgoshi, Zakaria Mwakisua and Juma Mgoshi were arrested after being found in possession of the substance, which was carefully concealed in a shopping bag and hidden beneath the car's bonnet. The suspects were nabbed following intelligence leads received from the DCI's free toll number. Now, the High Court has ordered the immediate removal of Romana Rao as the Mumia's Sugar Company receiver manager. In his ruling, Justice Alfred Mabea found and held that Rao had not acted according to the order of the court issued on November 19, 2021. The judge further said that the receiver cum administrator ought to have called a creditors' meeting to ascertain the total amount of money owed by the company, which he did not do. The court found that he released the assets of the company to the lowest bidder, Sarai Holdings, at 5.8 billion shillings, and left out the highest bidder, West Kenya Sugar Company Limited, that put a 36.7 billion shillings bid. Now, Kenya's year-on-year food inflation has increased 27%, the 4th highest in sub-Saharan Africa, on account of rising global commodity prices. According to Africa's Pulse report by the World Bank, soaring commodity prices, which are projected to lead to high inflation, have been imposed by the Russia-Ukraine war, adding to supply chain problems, high transportation costs, and devastating weather effects from floods and drought, which had persisted prior to the conflict in the Eastern Europe. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asato. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
It is just about where you find fuel. Jana, there was a 500 limit, and the manager was almost beaten up at a petrol station somewhere. You just weka 500 peke yake kwenda huko. I've been queuing here for so long, and then you tell me 500 go away. Anyway, all the conversations this morning, there's nothing to report about traffic snarl-ups anywhere, especially in Nairobi or the major roads that we usually talk about. Normally, on a Good Friday such as this one, you'd find busy roads out of Nairobi, the Naivasha Highway, Mombasa Road, roads towards Mount Kenya, this is Thika Superhighway, and others would be busy. Today, clear. People are queuing at petrol stations looking for fuel. There is some fuel. We'll be talking about what the CS for Energy and Petroleum was saying yesterday. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. If there's any issue that you think we ought to tell people about, just tag us on Twitter at SpiceFMKE.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It is 7 minutes after 8. Good morning. Happy Easter. This 15th day of March 2022. It's going to be March until the president launches April. Kenya's biggest conversation. We are glad that people are tuned in on this lovely Friday morning. Happy Easter. Anyeth Deng Achuoth says, Happy Easter. Getting you live from Eldoret. Where do you think Eldoret is?
Those sides of either Samburu, Pokot, those sides.
Yeah.
Or South Sudan.
Or South Sudan.
Yeah.
Delphine
Kisi.
Osbu says they're in Eldoret. Millicent Yewa, good morning and happy Easter holiday. I'm proud that even on such a day you keep us informed instead of taking a break. God bless you. Yeah, God bless you too, Millicent.
No, God bless you mightily.
Evelyn Kavaya, happy Friday. Riyadh is tuned in. Also from Nyamira, Davis Oyaro. Sabit Yusuf Sabit says, good morning. I'm always watching you from Abu Dhabi, but I'm currently in Nairobi. Karibu nyumbani, Sabit. Peter Ongera, I'm back to Lukenya train station after whiling away in politics. What happened? Ulinyang'anywa ticket.
Inaonekana ticket ilirudi kwao.
Join presidential campaign.
Join the presidential campaign team. We have a guest in the studio, Dismas Bokua, but before we introduce him, let's hear the day's proverb. City?
Last proverb from the great country of Gabon.
Right.
The witness of a rat is another rat.
The witness of a rat is a rat. Witness of a rat is
shahidi ya mwenziwe panya ni
panya kubwa. Okay. What's your plan for Easter? Now that Easter is starting today, it goes on until Monday. How about a wonderful brunch with a delightful selection of dishes prepared by Executive Chef Aris and his team of culinary experts with complimentary pool access to the big outdoor pool to cool off in this Nairobi heat? Movenpick Hotel and Residences is offering a 5-star experience this Easter from as low as 4,500 per person or 5,500 per person, including gin cocktails, or 2,250 for children between 6 and 12, or free for children below 5. Come dine, relax, and enjoy great views of Westlands with entertainment courtesy of a live band, loads of kids' activities, including Easter treasure hunt, egg decoration, Easter bunny, and more. What's more, SpiceFM's very own 00 Direct will be on location tomorrow, Saturday the 16th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tune into 00 Direct to find out more about the Movenpick Hotel Residences tomorrow. They'll be live on location. To make your reservation, go to hotel.nairobi at movenpick.com. That's hotel.nairobi at movenpick.com to reserve the spot. And if you actually use the code SPICE, you get 10% off the brunch. Just use the code SPICE. You get 10% off the brunch. The Movenpick boss will be with us at 9 o'clock. And maybe he may come with some goodies. Make sure you're tuned in.
Maybe. Perhaps.
It's Easter time.
There's a probability.
There's a probability. There's a high probability.
In Kiswahili, yaenda ikawa.
Yaenda ikawa.
Kuna uwezekano.
Kuna uwezekano mkubwa. Duru za kuaminika zinasema. Easter is the only season, or the only time, when you are encouraged to have all your eggs in one basket.
Wow.
Yeah. Get it?
So this time is not about rats and birds of a feather flocking together.
Yes, there was a 2-second lull there, but I eventually got it. I got it.
Yes. Dismas Bokua is a political risk analyst. He joins us now in the Situation Room. Happy Easter, Dismas.
Happy Easter.
Karibu sana to the hot seat.
Thank you. You know, when I got the invitation, I got a bit nervous. So I've had to do a number of press-ups and take lots of coffee. Because the personalities I've seen taking this seat are extremely powerful. So I'm putting on very big shoes. But I hope I'll survive.
This was I'm meeting you for the first time, but I like the way you deal with your stress. You increase it. Coffee doesn't reduce stress.
Kisi Blue Mountain Coffee does reduce stress.
Kisi who? Which that? Which
Kisi
what?
Blue Mountain Coffee.
There's something called Kisi Blue Mountain Coffee.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
See?
It's a stress reliever.
Yes.
Yeah, and where is it found?
It works miracles. It's an exclusive product. Probably that's why you don't know about it.
So
exclusive
do you drink it? Do you sniff it? Do you smoke it? How do you go about it?
You drink it.
With hot water?
Yes.
Or cold water?
Hot water.
This Kisi Blue Mountain Coffee.
And no milk.
Is it
Is it available in the shops?
No. Custom.
Do you have access to it?
Yes.
You have become my immediate best friend.
This is
kuna uwezekano unaweza pata
hiyo kahawa ya Dismas hii anaita ya Kisii, si ile ya nini berries. Ni majani.
Ni majani. Ile ambayo inapitishwa ukipita Hispania, ukizunguka ukikuja huko kwa Probox kwa
inakuja in rolls. Inakuja in rolls.
Hapana kabisa, hapana.
Okay, this was a lot is happening in the country. You're a political risk analyst. What's that though? What is a political risk analyst?
I'm glad about the question because the majority of people do not seem to understand what a political risk analyst does. You've got many people who want to do business in Kenya, but before they settle in, they like to understand the political situation. They'd like to know the key players. They'd like to know any risk associated with FDI. So they want to sit back and say, if I'm going to invest in Kenya, what is FDI? Foreign direct investment. Yes. Yeah. So they want to know, if I'm going to invest in Kenya, what information do I need for control and decision making? For instance, you may be surprised that they may not be knowing that Kenya is a presidential system, that we have got governors, that we have got MCS. So they want to get this information to give them capacity to take a decision, in simple terms.
Okay. So they want to understand the policies of government. They want to understand the legislative framework. They want to understand all those things.
Yes.
And they also want to understand how much, whether it's now here, it's 10% or 15%, kitu kidogo.
Yeah, like for instance, what happened with I don't know whether he was requested to leave Kenya or he was deported, the Rubis CEO.
Yeah.
Now that's part of our political risk analysis, because an investor would like to know that if I'm putting money in Kenya and I send my staffers, top talents, are they going to be requested to take a walk in the middle of the night, or there's going to be administrative justice that you'll be called upon to explain certain positions? So that's very critical. And in my view, because now we operate in a globalization of trade, of markets, of production, so you can't afford to do a number of things in Kenya hoping that they will not affect the entire world. Because I suspect this gentleman has become the topic of conversation in France. So the Frenchmen are asking themselves, what is the backstory? What really happened? Were you called upon to explain the decisions you've taken? Were you given feedback, or somebody just knocked at your door and you were told, excuse me, sir, monsieur, those French names are difficult to pronounce. Let's take a walk. We are on our way to JKI using the expressway.
Jean-Christian.
Yes.
So, interesting that you bring that, because let's start on that note. All right. So here is a company that has come and invested in the country. It has come and bought out existing companies and then says, let's roll out. It's not just in Kenya, it's also in the region. And it's operating as a major player in the oil sector. We see the crisis unfolding, and then it gets to a point where this particular company is fingered, their CEO is fingered, and there's a whole deportation. There's a backstory that has been reported here. A stormy meeting on Wednesday between government officials and oil executives on the raging fuel crisis triggered dramatic events that would culminate in the deportation of Rubis Energy Kenya MD Jean-Christian Bergeron. The previous day, Interior CS Fred Matiang'i had spoken to French Ambassador to Kenya, Alain Coste-Ménager, on the government's concerns over the activities of Rubis and the punitive action it planned to take. So the ambassador had already been informed, this is what we have, this is what we want to do. This was yet another attempt to reach a compromise, as negotiations between marketers and the Energy Ministry officials on Monday were not making headway, with Kenyan officials accusing Rubis of frustrating the talks with unreasonable demands. Rubis, an independent French firm which operates in Europe, the Caribbean and Africa, is being blamed by the government for fueling the shortage, given that it has a huge share of the local market. A source familiar with the discussion said Rubis presented the government with two options. One, be allowed to sell the fuel at the prevailing market price, that's of 175 a litre, or the government increases compensation under the fuel subsidy program, which would mean it tops up the difference, 41, to cushion the consumers and maintain the price at 134. But the government said this was unfair, arguing that Rubis was seeking to reap more profit despite holding stock. So this is being reported as some of the conversations that were taking place in this meeting that ended up with then the government announcing, you know what, the MD, we have revoked the work permit, and therefore the person is persona non grata in this country. The question though, should there have been like you're saying, fair administrative justice. If the person is flouting Kenyan laws, is the best route to spirit them out of the country, or would the best route be to subject them through the Kenyan law?
Well, I'm not sure whether we have sufficient information to form opinions or establish perspectives around that story. I suspect the information is coming from one side.
Yep.
And every kind of this story always has got two sides of the story. But the fundamental question to ask ourselves, number one, when you're talking about Rubis, what is their history at a global level? Do their CEOs engage in mischief? And is part of, say, unfair trade practices part of their culture, part of their business philosophy, number one? Number two, what is the percentage share of their market such that an action by Rubis can influence the entire space? Because I suspect it's less than 10%. Reports would indicate it's about 9%. Now, if Rubis, say, was a monopoly, or maybe the market share is 50%, 70%.
If Rubis was Kenya Power.
Yeah, substantial. Then you would say that a decision taken by the CEO of Rubis would actually impact the entire sector. But if it's less than 10%, you've got another 90% with other players. And then, is this information public? I mean, we need to get the side from the Rubis side and from the government side, because, you know, Kenyans are people generally imagine that Kenyans have no capacity to take decisions. But when given information, they can form an opinion. And in my view, all these pieces of legislation, they've got penalties. It could be a pecuniary penalty that the company is fined a certain amount of money, or the CEO, or we are taken through a legal process, and, you know, those show cause letters and everything else, before you just deport a human being as if it's a bag of potatoes or maize from Nyandarua. People need to be treated with respect. And that is not limited to, expatriate CEOs, also the Kenyan CEOs. Every human being needs to be given an opportunity to present their case. So in my view, what they ought to have done is, lay the accusations, give him a chance to respond, and meanwhile, work with these other persons who are compliant, or even tell members of the public that in the interim, do not go to Rubis. Yeah, in my view, that would...
if you want to withdraw their license, withdraw the license, because that's what it would mean.
Yeah,
if you're telling the public in the interim, do not go to Rubis, it's basically saying, we had licensed this organization, we have withdrawn the license.
Yeah, I realize even with that...
And there has to be procedure to be followed.
Yeah.
Laid out in law.
Yeah, I realize even for some medical facilities, when they're not doing the right thing, the relevant agencies would actually go close the place. Then you're given notice, you're told you've been given 7 days or 21 days to reestablish, ensure that you are aligned with the expected procedures. But in my view, just picking a CEO like that and throwing him out of the nation, it doesn't work well for our brand. And this is not, we are talking about France, which has got a lot of influence at a global level. You can be sure these are topic of conversation in international media. All the Financial Times, Bloomberg, Reuters, all of them are reporting this story. And then the following day, you allocate resources to Brand Kenya, telling them to go and market Kenya, saying that that is a regional hub.
Come and invest.
Yeah, come and invest, come and do all this business. Because people would be saying, if a CEO of a global multinational is treated in this manner, what would happen to an ordinary Mora or Wanjiro? How will they be treated? Because, this CEO seems to have a one-on-one relationship with the ambassador. Is, for all intents, is a member of the high society. But they're just told it was nice doing business. What happens to a normal businessman? And now what happens to Mora, in this case, in Kenya?
There are those who argue that actually the market share that Rubis enjoys is twice what you suggested, 20, not even 9. But of significance, everything else that you've said holds true, because how is it then that even if you control, say, 20% of the market share, how then would you destabilize? Because there's the other 80.
The balance, 80.
Yes. How would you... The converse would be true. If you control the 80%, then definitely you can actually sabotage the entire industry.
And then there would be an issue of concern. Then why would you allow one organization, this multinational, to control 80%?
If you look at the discussions that have taken place regarding this, one thing that is certain is that by the time you get to the point of a national of another country being deported, as you correctly put it, there's a lot more that has gone on that we do not know.
Absolutely.
A great deal more. And we may never know, and we may never be told. Because it isn't every day that the national of a friendly country gets deported from Kenya. It is something that doesn't happen very, very often.
It's a rare occurrence.
Yes, but then also, why don't we go back to the discussion that has been here for the longest time about the shortage, which never was? Because there was a fuel crisis, yes, at the pumps. But was there fuel in the country? Yes, there was fuel in the country. So, what is it that was causing the shortage?
Well, the relevant agencies, KPC said they've got enough stocks to last us for a long time.
They said 3 weeks to be specific.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yes.
And in my view, it's about the market control. Because we are told that in a liberalized economy, we are supposed to let the market forces determine.
Our economy is not liberalized.
That's what we are told. And then there's this subsidy. And I've spoken to a number of the private sector operators who obviously don't want to be named. And their view is that they were being forced to finance the government. Their position is that there is a cash flow crisis, and the government wants the private sector to use private resources to finance the operations. And the subsidy, there are many views about the subsidy, but my understanding is a subsidy would not work in this kind of an environment. Because on one hand, there is a heavy taxation on the oil products, very heavy taxation. And then on the other hand, you're offering a subsidy. So subsidy, I think for me, in context, is some sort of voodoo thinking. Because what they ought to do, and in my view, there is a need to have a deliberate strategy on taxation in the energy sector or in the fuel sector, so that you reduce the tax component maybe by 30%, whatever it is, and then you subject the sector to the forces of demand and supply. Of course, there's a regulator to ensure that there is no mischievous capitalism taking place. But when you have capacity, you've got petroleum products in our stores that are even available at the petrol stations, but the owners are not willing to sell simply because of price. Even last night when all these announcements were made, for about 6 hours, there was everybody said there were no products in the gas station. But as soon as it's after midnight, then all of a sudden, you're being told, kuja mununue mafuta sasa imerudi.
It's a whole game. Well, there are people who argue and say the oil marketing companies, as we got closer and closer to the 14th, they knew what was going to happen, okay? And the advantage that would bring to them. But at the same time, the oil marketing companies have argued, same thing privately, that, look, as we sell at the pump, our money is not there. It's basically you've been given bread by Toasty to sell at your kiosk. But the profit that you're supposed to make will come from Toasty, right? So you're basically selling at cost. You're making nothing, but your margin will come from a third party. So if that third party does not give you the margin, then you're wondering, so what am I doing? I still have to pay rent here. I have to pay for electricity. I've got to run my operations. So you don't have operating capital. Big issues. Why were there delays in the advancement of the price stabilization money?
For me, it's an issue of cash flow because I did accounting. So if there's a predictability that if I sell my product today, the government is going to make
in 30 days,
4 weeks. If they stick with 4 weeks, then the local players as well as the multinationals can plan their cash flows knowing that within 4 weeks, I'm going to get a certain amount of money. You can even go to your bankers because they've seen your statements, they've seen your cash flows. They can give you facilities because they know within 4 weeks, there's resources coming in. But if it goes beyond 4 weeks, it goes to 8 weeks, then it goes to 12 weeks, it goes to 18 weeks, it goes to, several months, then that is a crisis. And in my view, when you see people, even commercial banks, not taking the word of these oil marketing companies, it means they're losing confidence. They have no faith in the government's word. And when you were growing up, you were told that you can take the government's word to the bank. But this time round, it seems nobody is taking the government's word to the bank. And in my view, we must run away from this thing called subsidies and reduce the tax components of the petroleum and petroleum products. That will be the long-term solution. There are even some folks that you speak with, they say there's a few public servants of rank who are beneficiaries of these bureaucracy. They tell you that we are supposed to give you a check of this amount. If you speak nicely or you smile, we'll give you the check today. But if you give us a stone face, then it's going to take another week. So these are things that maybe need to be addressed. There's no evidence that you can present to confirm what I've said, but those are the conversations from some of the oil marketing companies. But in my view, what we must do is have that predictability from the government that if there's going to be movement within 4 weeks, let it be 4 weeks for cash flow planning, for cash flow management.
The CS for Energy, who's acting CS for Petroleum and Mining, Ambassador Dr. Monica Juma, spoke yesterday. And she was also speaking tough, saying, look, we've got stock in the country. Look, we've got regulations in the country. We have enough product. We have had several meetings. No, the relevant authorities, including Pipeline, IPRA, the Petroleum PS, have had meetings with the oil marketing companies. I have also been engaged in these meetings with these oil marketing companies, and I come to submit to you, the general public as Kenyans, that these guys are being unreasonable. We have given them a firm commitment that the government will honor its pledge to give them money. And they are being unreasonable. They are not listening to that. I mean, I sat back and I asked myself, okay, so CS, you're not saying that you have paid them. You are not saying that we are clearing the backlog within the next, after signing of the supplementary budget, so within the next X number of days, this will have been sorted. Is still talking about a firm commitment. And it sounded like now we're at a point where we are saying that the word firm commitment is not a firm commitment. It means nothing. It's like when we were told title deeds are pieces of paper.
Well, I understand sausage production is a nightmare. People don't want to see the sausage being produced. Now, for the Kenyan taxpayer, for Muraha, Wanjiku, and Afula, they don't want anybody to describe the problem. They don't want us to know what the minister is doing.
They want the sausage.
All they want is the sausage. They want to go to a petrol station and find products at affordable prices. They want these products to be accessible and affordable. They do not care for details. These taxpayers have given you this big office, cabinet secretary, acting cabinet secretary, regulator, KPC. They want to see results. They want to look at the scoreboard. So people are not interested in all these explanations. Kulienda, kukaku. No. They just want products. Not long ago, the PS had an interview where indicated that within 3 days, that was, I think, on a Sunday, within 3 days, everything is going to be...
The PS was here on a Monday, and he told us by Thursday.
Yeah.
That was last week.
And it did not happen. Now, you would understand why the oil marketing companies are not taking their word to the bank. Because you have these public servants of rank
but this must...
who drive vehicles. I don't think they're experiencing a shortage of fuel. They make their word. They commit to the public. But the word counts for absolutely nothing.
It's nothing. Let's take a break. Let's take a break, City, and then we continue the conversation. It's 8:30, Kenya's biggest conversation. Our guest, Dismas Mokua, is a political risk analyst. We are looking at the implications of what the government has been doing in the last couple of days, including the deportation of the managing director of Rubis Energy Kenya. What does this imply in terms of confidence and all to the other investors? Remember, we are telling you about Showmax. How much, City?
760 Kenyan shillings per month.
Go on.
And monthly, yani every month. This month, next month, irrespective of the number of days in the month, 760. But for 760, you will watch movies.
And
including local productions like Crime and Justice.
Right.
You will watch documentaries. You will watch sports. You will watch news.
It starts from 760 and then you choose the package that you want, even graduating upwards. But this one, for Crime and Justice, if you do the 760, you have access to Crime and Justice. Very beautiful series. Have you watched it, Dismas?
Have you heard of it, first of all?
I'm not much of a man when it comes to these things.
Do you watch movies?
No, I watch documentaries.
It's a movie.
It can also come in as a documentary, this one.
Okay, then I'll watch it.
Crime and Justice. Lovely drama. Season 1 premiered last year. Season 2 is out now on Showmax. Keep it here for more conversations. 28 to 9.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Brought to you by Colgate.
Remember when Silas reminded McKenna?
There's different kinds of justice.
Prepare for the return of detective duo McKenna and Silas, fighting to protect their lives as they discover a justice system infiltrated by a mysterious cartel. So, will the law prevail? Get ready for Crime and Justice Season 2, A System Corrupted.
Watch Crime and Justice only on showmax.com.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
The group of leaders we are having now, these are just like the polymers. The chemical composition is the same.
Are you corruptible?
Hopefully not.
And maybe that's part of the problem.
People who have done about 300 speeches and they are not saying anything. What makes you think that they will come in with something really dramatic?
Don't miss out on the latest from Kenya's biggest conversation. SMS TSR to 22840.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
This April, Sarit, your city is the place to be. Kicking off with daily kids activities from the 1st to 31st of April, comprising a bouncing castle, trampoline, hoverboards, Segway, VR games, and much more during the school break. Also included in the activities is the Ramadan Iftar setup every evening from 4 p.m. onwards. In addition, they have an amazing week-long Easter celebration from the 11th of April 2022, as well as a massive back-to-school sale and offers from the 18th to 27th of April. With all these activities for everyone, you have no reason not to visit Sarit, your city. See you there.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
This Easter, the Movenpick Hotel and Residences Nairobi is giving you an extraordinary weekend.
Yeah!
Join us for a family Easter brunch and indulge in a delightful selection of dishes prepared by our executive chef Aris and his team of culinary experts, with complimentary pool access to our big outdoor pool to cool you off in this Nairobi heat. Charges are from 4,000.
Okay, let me tell you about the weather. So Nairobi is still 18 degrees Celsius as the day. Now it's 19. Expect highs of 26 and lows of 16 later today. Light rains. Mombasa, light rain today. 32 highs and lows of 25. Malindi, light rains at 32 and lows of 27. Nakuru, partly sunny day at 26 and lows of 15. Kisumu, sunny day at 27 and lows of 20. Nyeri, light rains at 25 and lows of 15. Kakamega, mostly cloudy day at 25 and lows of 14. Eldoret, rain showers at 26 and lows of 17. Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, mostly cloudy, 30 and lows of 24. Kampala, Uganda, rainy day at 24 and lows of 19. Kinshasa, I used to have Kinshasa here. Where is it gone? It's gone. Yeah, there it is. Cloudy day at 30 and lows of 23. Lagos, Nigeria, light rains at 31 and lows of 26. Johannesburg, sunny day at 23 and lows of 13. Beijing, China, a sunny day at 21, lows of 5. London, 22, lows of 8, sunny. New York will be waking up to a mostly cloudy day at 21 and lows of 13. While Paris is going to be sunny at 22 and lows of 8.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
All right. It is only about where you can find fuel today. All right. And people are just sharing that on social media. So just get onto social media. That's all the conversation. Nothing about traffic or accidents or traffic snarl-ups anywhere apart from areas that are close to petrol stations. But someone is complaining about Mombasa, where tuk-tuks and matatu drivers have never heard of the term pedestrian crossing. They don't even blink or slow down when passing through them, particularly on Kuruma Road. Okay. I'm sure traffic marshals from the Mombasa County government and also the traffic police officers can deal with that. Keep it here for more. If there's anything that we ought to talk about that's happening on the roads, please tag us on Twitter at SpiceFMKE.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
21 minutes to 9.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Situation room on this 15th day of March 2022. We say we will remain in March until the president launches April. And how will he do that? By launching the expressway and by announcing the reduction, 15% reduction on power bills. We have our guest in the studio, Dismas Mukua, who is a political risk analyst. And Andrew is talking about political risks. What sort of a country threatens to disconnect millions of SIM accounts that were duly registered and lawfully operated?
Kenya.
Julia is saying, Dismas, you asked, then what happens to the ordinary Mora? She says, I, Mora, will answer you. Mora went to the dogs a long time ago. When you see them come for a CEO, just know that Mora is past tense. History.
There you go.
City.
You know, you've mentioned a word repeatedly, and that word is subsidy. And the language has always been that the government offers a fuel subsidy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
How many taxes do we have lumped onto our fuel price?
Well, maybe let's go to the beginning.
Yes.
In my view, and I've seen it with the Kenyan Constitution, Article 238 speaks about national security, national interests, threats to our security, all those kind of things. Anything done by anybody, internal or external, which is a threat to our national security, must be evaluated. When you've got an energy crisis, that is a threat to our national security, is a threat to prosperity. Now, when you talk about taxation and levies, I think it's about 13. Now, when they do the build-up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 13, it becomes very heavy. Almost 50% of what you pay at the pump price is tax. And then they tell you that we love you so much, we are going to give you a subsidy. So you increase the taxation components, and then you offer a subsidy. In a very serious economies...
Where is a subsidy offered? Because what I am actually getting to is you add the tax. You have a petroleum development levy. Is that not so?
Yes. There are a million.
Yes, I'm talking about just 3. You have a fuel adulteration levy. You have a road maintenance levy. Okay, now tell me, with all these levies, it means whether indirectly and directly you are going to pay. Actually, this is one of those things where everybody pays. Everyone. You may think that you need to own a vehicle. You know full well you don't. So long as whatever you have has somewhere in its mixed fuel being used, you will have that cost that the individual who is manufacturing it passed on to you. At the end of the day, you, the consumer, you will pay for it. So I have a beef with this word. So how does it become a subsidy? And I've already paid for it.
Now, this subsidy is supposed to be offered where there is no tax component.
Thank you.
It's supposed to be offered where there is no tax component.
So you can see the government participation you can see and it's direct.
Yeah.
In this one, I'm saying, where is it when you've already paid for it?
It's a direct tax.
Yeah, let's use a good example. This phone, if it's supposed to go for 1,000 bob, and then you have the tax component is at 10,000, so it's supposed now to go for 11,000. Then you tell me I love you so much, I'm going to give you a subsidy. I'm going to remove 500 bob
from the tax.
Now that is voodoo logic.
You asked how many levies. Are your fingers ready? Funga, kunja kidole. And this is from the latest from IPRA, okay? Excise duty.
1.
Kidole moja. Road maintenance levy.
2.
Petroleum development levy.
3.
Petroleum regulatory levy.
4.
Railway development levy.
5.
Anti-adulteration levy.
6.
Merchant shipping levy.
7.
Import declaration fee.
8.
Value added tax.
9.
Those are the levies that you find in fuel. So as fuel now goes to 144 and 62 cents, 61 shillings and 34 cents of that is taxes and levies.
Repeat that again so that I understand it.
Mafuta,
as fuel goes to 144.
Mafuta from midnight is 144 bob.
Hmm.
Okay? And 62 cents in Nairobi. So for super petrol.
Hmm.
That, out of all that, 61 shillings and 34 cents is taxes and levies.
Now, what is even painful or harmful, that this tax, most of the time, is not used in the interest of morale. The president himself, times above numbers, indicated that out of that 61, 2 billion is lost every day. It disappears somewhere into a hole that nobody in Kenya has got capacity to see. It's very easy to come, therefore, to the conclusion that we have got a monetary crisis in Kenya and a fiscal crisis in Kenya. That the economic leadership in Kenya is having very serious challenges. Because why keep on increasing that tax component on one hand when you're making your budget statements and then tell Kenyans that we are losing 2 billion out of this 61 every single day? What are we supposed to do? Say Hail Mary or lie prostrate and cry?
Both.
That is, of course, they're asking you to take your pick on what you think may suit your purposes. It may not necessarily help you, but at least you have a choice to pick.
Now, City Muga, in other countries, Nordic countries, tax component is extremely high, about 60%. But you see it. In Kenya, you pay very high taxes, but you have to pay for garbage collection, you have to pay for estate security, you have to pay for everything.
You subsidize the government.
Yes. So actually, the private sector gives, you pay direct taxes or indirect, and then on top of that, you
offer the service.
You offer the service. So it becomes very painful. For people who've been to those Nordic countries, they're the ones who say Hail Mary, because after paying taxes, you are sure that...
You sit pretty.
Yeah, if you go hiking on top of a certain mountain and you got a fracture, you miss a step, you will see 3 helicopters with paramedics coming to see you because they value life. In Kenya, what happens? You find bodies in River Yala. Those are the critical issues that people need to be
in Kenya,
asking themselves.
You go digging some mine somewhere.
Some place in Siaya.
It collapses and buries you. You unbury yourself.
The governor comes and does a news conference, says tunaomba serikali, and
the governor is
yeye mwenyewe ni serikali huko na anasema tunaomba serikali, and then the serikali says we've got these rescue equipment in Nairobi, we are looking for a trailer to move them from Nairobi by road all the way to Siaya.
You know
and then you're paying taxes.
Of course.
That is why I asked the question when we're having a conversation about a crisis. There was no crisis. You're talking about subsidy. No such thing. Because a subsidy, by definition, has to be something that is given by a government.
When there's no tax components.
Yes. And it is given to industry or business to help them thrive. Given. You are giving what we've paid you. And then you're telling us you are the one who is subsidizing. Therein, I think, is where the fault lines that I was talking about begin for me. Secondly, we understand from reports that we read, the import of fuel in this country on a monthly basis is in the 35 upward percentile billion Kenya shillings every month, somewhere thereabouts. So, the tax component that the government reaps from it instantly, that is not difficult to compute. These other things that you keep talking about, where does this money go, for heaven's sake? Because the moment, if you list these 9 fuel levies, they are meant to go to specific areas. Is that not so?
Yes.
The only one that I have seen are these big boards. This road here, it's been maintained by this money you've been paying us as you feel and as you're driving. So be knowing. Better than I've gotten. The other 8?
Well, the petroleum development levy is this one, for example, that is now coming into cushion when you talk about the price stabilization mechanism, that is part of it. This 5 shillings, let me tell you how much it is this time.
But no, the question is...
Ngoja. Petroleum Development Levy for the next 1 month is 5 shillings and 40 cents. It's been the same, all right? So it's 5 shillings and 40 cents. So this 5 shillings and 40 cents goes into this particular kitty. And now when you're talking about how much is the price stabilization mechanism going to be, some 14 shillings and 53 cents.
Well, Erica, you raised so many issues which goes to the core of leadership in Kenya. Do we have a leadership crisis in Kenya? Or are the people we elected into office abandoned their mandate? Or probably they don't even know what they're supposed to be
doing? You are now defining a crisis.
Yeah.
Because their roles are distinct, clear, and easy to understand. And if those roles are not being actioned, then clearly we have a crisis, don't we?
Yes. Let's look at it at a global level. You've got an energy crisis, fuel crisis. You've got a food crisis. You've got a SIM card crisis. You've got a milk crisis. So there's a crisis everywhere where you turn. You indicated that today, under normal circumstances, people would be going to their villages to see their old folks. Now they cannot. Why? Simply because there's a crisis somewhere. So now we need to ask ourselves, is this man-made crisis? And who are the principal beneficiaries of this crisis? Because, in every crisis, there's somebody somewhere who is a beneficiary. And, because we're in the political space, you've had many terminologies being introduced. There are state capture, you've heard about economic terrorism. So we need to ask ourselves, really, when Mora gives you power to lead, does she not have valid expectations that you have planners within the Ministry of Energy or Mining who are supposed to have a global understanding of issues? Right now we have been told, the crisis in Kenya is because of Ukraine.
But we do have people who understand those things very well. The thing about the human resource, we have human resource.
Do we see the results in the scoreboard?
Nope.
How come?
I thought you were here to tell us such things.
Yeah, so I said, when Mora gives you responsibility, they just want to see results. They want to see the scoreboard. So you cannot come as a public servant of rank to come and describe the problem for us. All Kenyans, they can describe the problem. They can describe the solution. What they want is execution. Because you have delegated this authority to you, Article 1, we line up early in the morning to go and vote, rain or shine. We give you power for 5 years, and we expect results. We don't want anybody describing the problem or describing a solution.
Okay, but then, in fairness, is there likelihood or is there justification for things happening? Things getting out of hand, things getting out of control for one reason or the other?
Yeah, things can
that
go
would
out of
lead
hand.
to this situation. And then it's also important to come in and say, why? We're here because of this and the other. And this is the steps that we are taking to mitigate what... Because as much as Mora, like you say, wants to eat the sausage, she also would like to understand, I was expecting my sausage at 7 a.m. Why is it coming at 9? Now you could explain, the pig refused to die, whatever.
Completely. That machine ran out of fuel.
You have to explain. Why? First of all, why is there a delay? And 2, what are you doing about the delay? And 3, what are you doing to make sure that tomorrow you come back to 7 a.m. supply?
But Eric, you've
just described what leadership is all about. But this fuel crisis, we've had it for
2 into 3 weeks now.
Yeah. Food insecurity from independence. Housing insecurity from independence. And nobody's giving us concrete steps of what is supposed to be done.
Actually, when you talk about aspects of leadership, you're talking about something actually that falls in the realm of myths. Because if you listen to our leaders, they talk exactly like us. When we are busy talking and whining and pining, leaders come and then they do the same thing. So you're at a loss. You're wondering, goodness. So how are we supposed to... When they really try, they tell you the obvious.
Okay, City Muga.
Yes, we have this problem. And we say, we know we have this problem. So
City Muga, when I was in Strathmore School,
yes,
business school, I was told by my professors that a leader is somebody who paints a picture of where in this case, where Kenya is supposed
That's
to go.
what Strathmore told you.
Yeah, in the next 5 years, in the next 10
That
years.
is Strathmore here in Kenya.
Yeah, in Kenya.
And they
then,
did not give you an example of what leadership means in this country.
No, I'm coming to that now because they gave examples. So they paint a global picture of where Kenya is supposed to be going. Then they align financial resources and human resources, literally referred to as human capital, to achieve those objectives. So that it benefits the citizens. So the citizen has got a very specific role. All Kenyans are playing their roles, but the leaders, are they playing their roles? That's why you've had all those
Actually,
very
they
serious
are.
conversations.
They are. They complain with us. They come and sit on that very seat you're saying.
So what is the difference between them and...
We elected them. That's the difference.
Now, City has opened a Pandora's box. Right now, we are undergoing through the nominations where we are going to elect 1,930 officials to run Kenya. Now, these people, do they represent our interests?
Yes.
By ensuring that we don't have food insecurity?
By telling us that they represent our interests. Because that's what they all tell us. And they all tell us the same thing. Yes.
In my view, the way you've indicated that now we need to look at solutions, if we do not engage and become politically literate, we'll be on this spot. Because when I was growing up, I saw pictures in Zimbabwe, shortage of milk, shortage of everything. Now it's happening in Kenya. What has happened in Zimbabwe? What has happened in Venezuela? What has happened in other countries?
Come on, we have not reached that level.
Right now,
wait.
Are you a farmer? If you go to the National Cereals and Produce Board today, you can only access 5 bags of fertilizer. The minister said you can take up to 20, but you can only take 5.
Yeah, see,
is that not a crisis?
No. Shortage.
That's a shortage? Okay,
No,
there we go.
Crisis when there's nothing.
Have you not heard about economic terrorists? Have you not heard about state capture in South Africa, where Zuma takes a decision not to serve the interest of South Africans, but to serve the so-called Guptas?
And where's Zuma right now?
So let me ask you. So what we are seeing happening, let's say, the example that you've just given, fertilizer, all right? So there's a fertilizer subsidy being extended by the government, and this one is where now there's a whole issue of prices. The market dictates that the price is 7,000 shillings. The government is going to put the difference so that you only pay, say, 2,000 or 3,000. I'm not sure the figures, okay? But in order for us to be able to serve everybody and the limited resources that the government has, get up to 20 bags of fertilizer.
And you're a commercial farmer.
Notwithstanding. Go to the store, get only 20 bags of fertilizer.
But
now,
you're only given 5.
What else is causing you to actually only access 5? The global supply. And we've seen that. I mean, the global supply for fertilizer has been impacted hugely by, again, just like Biden will tell us, blame it on Putin.
You've opened another Pandora's box. Do we have a crisis in fertilizer availability in Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, or Egypt, or Israel? Why is it limited to Kenya? And this is a very pertinent question. How come Uganda attained food security and not they have a surplus? How come Tanzania attained food security and they have a surplus? There's a very high probability that the onions you're consuming in your house and tomatoes are from Tanzania.
You know, see the onions. Yes, and see we can buy them.
So what is the reason? What is the reason behind that?
The reason is, and you know, because now my DNA is politics,
yes.
It's about leadership. We've heard about status quo leaders. We've heard about this thing called Itueka moment. And I think the voter now must become very selfish. You know, unfortunately, the Kenyan voter is emotional, irrational, and they don't see their ballot having a connection with the bank balance.
This much is not true. The Kenyan voter is a very well-informed voter.
So they're not emotional and irrational?
No. He's characterizing them as though that is the sum total of what they are. They may express emotion from time to time. They may become irrational like everybody else on the planet, but that's not them. They are polite, nice people who have given their leaders a lot of leeway that the leaders keep abusing.
Are you talking about the Stockholm syndrome?
No.
That we are falling in love with our captors?
No. Stockholm syndrome simplifies this situation that we have in this country. Kenyans look at a problem, instead of they can see it, they know it, they'll find a way around it. It's what they do. They always try to find. Now, if that is a bad trait, then it's a bad trait that helps keep this country stable because they don't pitch a fit. Now, how do you get Kenyans to be able to voice what they genuinely feel? Because we tend to be fairly passive-aggressive. Why don't you take leaders to task and ensure they do what they're supposed to do? Kenyans would rather take their energies to finding a solution to help them instead of taking their energies to challenge their leaders.
Why? Is it because they're not connecting their problems to that leader?
They connect. And if you look at our at our processes, our democratic process, we know there's an election in 5 years.
Yeah.
When we get to understand that we can actually remove you before 5 years and we can actually do it and see it done, as we've seen with the impeachments.
Why wait for removal? Why not make you do your
work? You know
work?
what I'm referring to here? The process by which people absorb, accommodate, and understand what they have before them.
You know, something happened during the UDA party primaries. A gentleman called Mutai was campaigning, and people started making contributions.
You're talking about Eric Mutai?
No, I think running
people
started giving him resources, and I think those are the eureka moments. Those are the eureka moments we need in Kenya when we realize that a leader who does not represent your selfish interests does not deserve a position of leadership. So, in my view, when we go to vote, we must have a clear matrix of the reason why we are voting. Do not vote for somebody simply because he comes from your village, or you've got same ancestors, and believe that it's going to work.
You have to start there. They have to come from my village. Otherwise, why am I going to vote for them?
So
and I also come from that
that's
village.
That's not the only reason. Basically, that should not be the rationale. But
I said it starts from there.
Because you come from my village, therefore I'm going to elect you as president.
Eric, usually when you come from my village, I know you better than I know the other people.
But you know you just...
Okay, then
you
know manage your oil crisis.
But you're just spoiling for a fight.
Oh, yes, I am.
Let me stop you then at that point. Let's talk about water and Colgate. Dismas, thank you very much for joining us.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It gets over
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
Thank you very much. Keep it right here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. Remember, go to Naivas by Colgate and you will be participating in getting some 30 more wells by the end of this calendar year to various schools in various counties that will be helping various communities. Very good morning to you. 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around
This
the
is
world.
Newswire Dennis
94.4 Spice
Kuria
FM.
Kimani is the winner of the UDA party ticket for the Molo constituency in Nakuru County. Kuria, who is aiming to defend his seat in the August general election, has received 10,442 votes against his closest rival, Kamana Joseph, who received 2,907 votes. Kevin Karanja came in third with 5,333 votes. Elsewhere, Jonathan B. leads the governorship race in Uasin Gishu County, followed by Julius Bitok. Governor Jackson Mandago leads the Senate seat, and Gladys Boss leads the women representative seat. MP Oscar Sud is also leading in his Kapsaret constituency. More than 10 current ward representatives have won the nomination. Now, the United Democratic Alliance Party has selected 4 aspirants in Migori County to carry its flag to the ballot, as it has given areas known to be ODM stronghold a wide berth. The party has selected aspirants in the governor, Senate and MP seats. Aspirants will be issued with the direct nomination certificates include Rebecca Maroa, who is vying for the county's gubernatorial seat, John Nyabea for the Senate seat, Scholastica Obiero Nyatike MP seat, Marwa Kitayama Kuria East seat, and Matthias Roby for the Kuria West seat. Frederick Sienga, who is Migori UDA county coordinator, noted that they were only conducting nominations at the ward levels. Now, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has come out guns blazing to defend himself against claims of bias in the House following his recent move to join the Deputy President William Ruto-led Kenya Kwanza alliance ahead of the August polls. Speaker Muturi dared members of Parliament doubting its impartiality to table an impeachment motion against him in accordance with the law. According to Muturi, his political allegiance is completely detached from his role as Speaker of the National Assembly, which he vowed to continue effecting as he has since his installation 9 years ago.
If you feel that the Speaker is not sufficiently impartial, please, because the Speaker who is before you is unwilling to resign, take it now, yes, we can take the bank. Please look at the provisions of Article 106 of the Constitution. It's not the first time that I have been sponsored. Even in 2013, I was sponsored by a party. We have worked with so many of you in many endeavors. Let's not get carried away by the things happening around the country.
The Kenya Medical Supplies Authority has managed to dispatch essential medicines and medical supplies and National Strategic Priority Health Program supplies valued at more than 9.73 billion shillings at the end of last month to all counties. KEMSA acting CEO flagged off medical supplies valued at 380 million shillings that will be sent to Kilifi, Marsabit, Samburu, Baringo, Garissa and Tana counties. Kabushe said the authority had re-engineered and automated several operating procedures, leading to improved output. Now, Kenya's year-on-year food inflation has increased 27%, the fourth highest in sub-Saharan Africa, on account of rising global commodity prices. According to Africa's Pulse report by the World Bank, soaring commodity prices, which are projected to lead to high inflation, have been imposed by the Russia-Ukraine war, adding to supply chain problems, high transportation costs and devastating weather effects from floods and droughts, which had persisted prior to the conflict in Eastern Europe. Only Sudan, Ethiopia and Angola, with 155%, 43% and 38% year-on-year food inflation rates respectively, had the higher rate than East Africa's largest economy between February last year and February 2022. Now, a team of Kenyan learners won the grand prize at the Huawei ICT competition regional finals. Alongside the lecturer, the team, comprising 3 students from Kenyatta University, emerged top after trouncing their counterparts from countries such as Ghana, Nigeria, Tanzania and Uganda under the innovation competition. Out of the 48 competing teams, Kenya and Nigeria won the first grand prize in the Network Cloud and Innovation regional final. Other teams from Uganda, Ghana, Nigeria and Tanzania claimed the first and second prize award. Now, Tesla boss Elon Musk has offered to buy Twitter, saying he is the right person to unlock the social media platform's extraordinary potential. In a surprise announcement, Musk said he would pay $54.20 a share for Twitter, valuing it at about $40 billion. It recently emerged that Musk was Twitter's biggest shareholder after he built up a large stake in the firm. He said that if his offer was not accepted, he would need to reconsider his position as a shareholder. A filing with the U.S. financial regulator appeared to show text and voice messages from Musk to Twitter's board, showing that he had raised the idea the weekend that the business should go private. Musk had been invited to join the board, but Twitter announced he had decided against it. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Saseto. Good morning.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so what's happening on the roads this morning? We know it's Easter. It's a happy Good Friday because everything that we are seeing happening on the road is just good stuff. Nothing much to report in terms of traffic delays anywhere, not on Mombasa Road, not on the bypasses, not on Thika Super Highway, not on the Nairobi Nakuru Highway, not on Kangunda Road, not on Gong Road, nowhere. Only the areas that are close to petrol stations because people have gotten up and they are going to look for fuel. If you know where people can get fuel, just get onto Twitter and tell them where you found fuel and let everybody enjoy and benefit from this. Have a happy morning. If there's anything that we we ought to talk about, please let us know. SpiceFM KE is our Twitter handle.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the
7
Situation
minutes after
Room.
9.
The
Good morning,
only
and
way
how
to
are you doing?
start your-
Happy Easter. It's a good Friday. It's a 15th day. We say it's a 15th day of March 2022. It'll be April when the president launches April, and we know what he needs to do.
Yep, he will need to have brought down the price of electricity by 15%, and this delightful expressway will have been commissioned.
Yeah.
Because the promises were that they'll be done by the end of March.
Yes.
So since they haven't been done, we are still in March.
Kabisa. City has the day's proverb before we introduce our guests.
Our proverb comes from the country, the great country of Gabon. It's the last of two proverbs. The witness of a rat is another rat.
The witness of a rat is another rat.
Yes.
Don't expect, as an investigator, to go to court as a prosecutor and say, my lord, the rat was stealing, and as witnesses, I'm going to bring a giraffe, an elephant, a lion to testify.
And a fox.
And a fox to testify that this rat was stealing. It's got to be a fellow rat.
You need to bring a creature that understands the ways of the rat. And the closest you can get to it is another rat.
Takes a rat to know a rat.
Yes.
Yes. Takes a rat to know one. Michael Flint, the one you just heard speaking, is the general manager of Movenpick Nairobi, talking about the Movenpick Hotel and residences. We've been talking about them since yesterday. 00 Direct will be live from the Movenpick tomorrow from 10 a.m. Movenpick have this wonderful Easter package, and they're saying, come and enjoy Easter with us. We'll be talking about that. But, Michael, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We call that the hot seat.
I feel pretty hot.
Really? Eh?
But you know what, Eric? You were talking about the traffic. I think it was the first time on my way here, and we had planned 45 minutes to get here, that I have seen Mombasa Road empty. And it was, wow, the expressway is already open.
And it was free.
And it was free.
Delightful moment, wasn't it?
It was.
It was I mean, these are the things that so it's a public holiday. We normally see that during public holidays, but not on Mombasa Road because it's a busy artery. So people would be driving out bright and early, let's say going up country for Easter, hoping to come back on Monday. But this time, not so much.
In fact, it's public holidays is when we experience a lot of traffic on this particular road. Yes.
Especially those early hours of the morning.
And then come the day after the holiday, if it's the middle of the week, again, a lot of traffic.
Right.
Yes, but this one, I think, has been assisted immensely by this, the false crisis of fuel that we have, the created crisis of fuel that we have. That is what has contributed significantly to this, because one is afraid. If I drive and utilize the little fuel that I have, is there a guarantee that I will get some more?
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. And in contrast, just the other night, I was stuck on Parklands Road, which I thought was just an accident. And then I realized as cars were passing me, I'm going, well, I don't want to get in trouble by following them because I see there's probably police up there. And then I realized that the reason the traffic was gridlocked was because they were going into the petrol station.
Yes. Yep.
So finally, after 20 minutes of not going anywhere, I did exactly what all the matatus were doing, and I passed. And I thought, why didn't I do this before?
Why didn't you think of this earlier? So Parklands Road is where you actually branch off to get into the Movenpick hotels.
Yeah, it's one of the entrances. It's the entrance to the to Mawa Close. So the back entrance where we have our apartments.
Yeah.
And then the front entrance is Mkungo Close.
Yeah, it's Mkungo. Tell us about the Movenpick Hotel. You know, so we'll go into the entire hospitality sector in Kenya, the growth, the potential of this. But the Movenpick Hotel, first of all, what's Movenpick? I mean, what word is this derived from?
Well, Movenpick celebrated its 4th anniversary just recently. And of course, 2 of those years have been with COVID. But the word Movenpick is actually Moven seagull, and pick is a seagull picking a fish out of the lake in Switzerland, and it originated as a restaurant where it was fast, good quality food on the go. So a seagull comes in, picks a fish, and moves on.
Right.
And then they developed the restaurants into a hotel brand.
Mm-hmm.
But there are many good quality food products like ice cream, chocolate that derives from Movenpick.
So it's a global brand.
It's a global Swiss brand that was recently acquired by Okoh Hotels, which is a French brand.
Okay. So the Movenpick Hotel and Residences in Nairobi, and it's important that we actually get to understand this. Why do we call it hotel and residences?
We call it residences as well because we have 54 apartments that are long stay residences. So we've got guests that have been in those apartments upwards of 3 years, some of them from the beginning. And you can stay in those apartments too for a month or short-term stays as well. The 54 of them, 2-bedroom and one bedroom as well.
What qualifies as short-term?
Well, one night. I mean, you just pay the daily rate of what we set for the apartments.
So why go into that route? Normally, we see very many hotels, especially very many of the hotels that have been there in Kenya. So you've got a hotel, you've got restaurant and hotel rooms.
Right.
And now here we're going into proper apartment. What informed the decision to go that route?
Well, I think it's more of an international venture. So if you take a hotel group like the Ritz-Carlton, there's Ritz-Carlton hotels and Ritz-Carlton residences. Actually, during COVID, the residences, the apartments, were the ones that had the highest occupancy because we had the long stay guests. So we were enjoying occupancies of 50-60% in COVID, whereas the hotel side was down 20% to 15% occupancy. So it was a good move to do that, and then you have a mix of different accommodations that kind of diversifies your portfolio.
So that's the entire, basically that's the thinking. Diversify the portfolio, the mix of what you're offering to your clientele, because you have noticed that this is what some people would be going for, long-term stays or longer-term stays.
Yes, indeed. And we've got a lot of people coming into Kenya for work internationally. So we have a lot of Europeans, Americans coming into their various jobs, and they stay in our apartments because they're fully serviced. They enjoy all the benefits of being at Movenpick, the security, the comfort, daily servicing from housekeeping. They enjoy discounts on food and beverage. All the amenities are available to them. So it's like a home away from home while they wait for their long-term home. So it's just a comfortable place that gives them an option.
You know, there are many people who've said, Michael, that we have seen a sharp growth in the hospitality sector, especially in the hotel and accommodation business in the last couple of years. New big multinational brands coming in, and more of them are still opening. The ones that were in existence expanding. And then now we've also seen the Airbnb growing, which also complements the number of accommodation spaces available. Is the market saturated yet? Or where is the demand coming from?
Well, I think the demand will come once we are completely relaxed on COVID. So the international market will start to flood back in again. We've already started to see local corporate, government business, both in the meetings and events and in the accommodation, starting to come back. But as far as saturated, I don't think so. I mean, if you take an area like Westlands, and you've got Hyatt coming up, you've got Marriott coming up, you have the old established hotels like Sankara, Movenpick now 4 years old. What I think is going to happen in an area like Westlands, it will become the new CBD for conferences. So along with the accommodation, if you have enough meeting space to be able to attract conferences or citywides even eventually. And, you can start to build up great things like food and wine festivals and markets. As long as there's meeting space enough to complement the rooms, I think it's going to continue to thrive. And we at Movenpick have one of the biggest complements of meeting space. We have 14 meeting rooms. The largest is our Hall of Africa, which is 1,000 square meters, and we have a total of 30,000 square feet of meeting space. Obviously, creating relationships with Sarit Center, they have a lot of meeting space too. So hotels like Sankara would be able to accommodate the guests in their rooms, and then have the conferences at Sarit Center, for example.
Yeah.
We have sister properties in Okoh, so Ibis is part of our brand, our core brand. So we would be able to accommodate at lower rates at Ibis because it's more of a budget hotel, but be able to shuttle conference delegates over to Movenpick to use our space. And then that way we're working together in tandem.
So when you talk about space, you've talked about the dimension of the space, but in terms of people, how many people then can you say you can accommodate with the spaces that you have?
How many people can be in meetings, whether together or in separate meetings, at a go?
You know what? I've never been asked that question, but I can calculate pretty quickly. If you take the whole of Africa, we can accommodate reception style 900 to 1,000 people. So that's with high cocktail tables. If we do a sit down dinner, we can do 650 plus in that meeting space. Then we have a smaller meeting space, which is still pretty large, which is probably 80% of that capacity, and then peppered with conference rooms of different sizes for small U-shaped meetings or board meetings.
You see, what I was thinking of is a situation where you have some of these international conferences coming into town, or they choose Movenpick.
Right.
And the conferences tend to have not 1,000, thousands of people coming in. Right. So it is with that in mind, because if they want to say headquarter the conference at your hotel, that's what I was asking. So how many people can you accommodate? Because it's understandable. There will be others who will go elsewhere.
Right.
There's no one hotel that can accommodate all conference participants. None.
Correct.
The world over.
It would have to be shared.
Yes.
And it would have to be coordinated.
Yes.
So that's why I mentioned a place like Sarit Center that probably has the equivalent square footage that we have. And then with the new Marriott coming up and the other hotels, they are now being built for purpose, which means that you have to have a ratio of meeting space to the rooms product. We've had the Pullman label, for example, on a building for years.
Yep.
And that building is 300 rooms, but their meeting space would need to partner with us in order to get a full conference in that space, because they just don't have it.
Would you say, for instance, now that you've been in Kenya, let me backtrack a bit. How many other Movenpick hotels and residences do you have in the region?
So we have one Movenpick, but Fairmont is also part of Okoh, and the Norfolk has just recently reopened after being closed because of COVID. Mount Kenya Safari Club is also a Fairmont brand, And we're going to be opening that at the end of May, June. And then, of course, we have the Fairmont Mara, which was opened a few months ago. Okay. And that's going.
Now to my question. The conferencing is a business on its own.
Yes.
Would you say that Kenya, from the time that you've been here, that Kenya has a fair market share of the conferencing business in this region as in East and Central Africa? And what is it that you feel that the business that you are in this country have done to ensure that they attract, hopefully, the lion's share of that business?
Well, I can tell you that I have, not so recently, but 6 years ago, I visited Kigali. And I think the Marriott was just about to open there, and that was the main conference center. So because of mainly the safety factor, I think, international companies feeling safe. And I think for the most part in Nairobi, internationals do feel safe. And the hotels have invested a lot of their time and effort in ensuring safety, health and hygiene, of course, through COVID, but the safety factor, and that's what attracts. And if we continue to focus on that and make Nairobi a safe conference environment with all of the support from the police and security services, then I think that's the way that we can ensure that Kenya continues to be the number one spot in East Africa, at least.
Okay. Is there competition coming from other parts, like you say? Is Kigali providing some proper competition to Kenya on that, to Nairobi?
I think it is. I think apart from Kigali, Uganda or Tanzania is not at the same level of Nairobi because of the development that we have here, also in places like Westlands and Upper Hill. The Radisson Blu is going to be opening up again at the end of May as well, which, is good because, again, that's more rooms and a lot more meeting space so that we can attract these citywides in the near future.
One of the things that one sees, are we going to break over?
Not yet.
Not yet. When one visits these recreational and cultural centers such as yours, that's my term for hotel.
Have you been to Movenpick recently?
Let's start with, have I heard of Movenpick?
Okay. It's hidden between two closes.
I'd heard of it.
Right.
But it isn't something that has featured in my mind.
Right.
So I wouldn't say I know of Movenpick. And this is why I'm asking these questions, because I want to know more.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
One often sees, when you're at the reception, framed awards that the hotels have won for this or the other, or for this or the other. And if you go to travel advisory, they will also tell you about this and the other. Now, the this and the other is what I want to ask about.
Okay.
Yes. What awards, or what is it that Movenpick is known for, and what has been recognized by the industry as being things that Movenpick are leaders in?
All right. So I came back to your lovely country a year and a half ago. And I was here before 2012 to 2015 as general manager of the Tribe Hotel. And I came back a year and a half ago, October 2020, right in the middle of COVID, right? So as far as being able to continue with the momentum of exposure marketing of Movenpick, it got stalled right in its tracks. So when I got here, it was, all right, so what are we going to do? We can feel sorry for ourselves, and that would eventually mean that the hotel may close, right? We've been through a big redundancy because of COVID. So I said, so what are we going to do? We need to put Movenpick, and I assured our employees that we call heartists. So they they do their jobs with heart, hospitality, instead of just service. So hospitality, the difference between service and hospitality is it comes from the heart. I told our heartists, I said, you know what? We are going to work together, and we are going to be the best hotel in Nairobi in 1 year. And we're getting there. We're not quite the best, but we're getting there. And, an indicator is that we are number 6 on TripAdvisor right now. Okay. And
in what category?
Well, in hotels.
Okay.
And it's mainly because we started to inject some soul into the hotel. So, for example, the revolving rooftop restaurant called The View, which you can see from for miles. Any artery that you're coming in from the country into Nairobi, you see this thing.
Looks like the air traffic control tower.
Exactly. But the thing is that nobody knew that was part of Movenpick. They thought it was an air traffic control or a helicopter pad or a George Jetson space movie, or I don't know what people thought. But we quickly took what we were in control of. I've got a magnificent chef, Chef Aris, who's from Greece, but he's been here with Fairmont, with Mount Kenya before, and a very talented young man. And we transformed the View, which was opened as a Swiss fondue restaurant, which was okay, probably not my choice, and we changed that into this incredible Mediterranean restaurant right now, and that is slowly, quickly becoming one of the top restaurants in Nairobi. It is filled to capacity now. You have to make a reservation. You can't just show up. The food is magnificent. I'd had nothing to do with the View. The View was still there, and we still revolve.
Yeah.
But the experience that you have there. So that started to attract people. Then I discovered spaces that had been closed, and actually closed for a long time. So I developed a cigar bar. On again, up you got magnificent views of Nairobi. You can smoke a cigar with the eagles that are flying around you.
Nice.
We've created a very plush and comfortable space for ladies and gentlemen.
Tell us a little bit more about these spaces. The cigar space, interesting. What else have you created?
So we have a duplex space with a pool table and gaming up top. Not that kind of gaming, but pool tables and ping pong tables and things like that. But it's a duplex space that reminds me of the international brand, the Soho House, which is a members club. So it's also like a Swiss chalet or a big bachelor pad, and it's so comfortable and so different to regular meeting space that we do meetings. We have people come in, tinker on their laptops during the day, order coffee and lunch with us. There's a little private space in that space too, where you can hold small meetings, but in a comfortable environment with sofas and lounge chairs and high tables. It looks like a club. And then it has a bar at one end. So we do events like Kizomba 2 Saturdays a month.
What on earth is Kizomba?
Kizomba is a mix of African dance and salsa, with a little bit of merengue. So it's a fusion of Latin and African dance, but more based on the Latin. So if you've ever seen salsa, I mean the guys and girls that move and shake up there on a Saturday. It's quite a
So you
it's
host
quite a
it
show.
2 Saturdays a month.
Yeah, 2 Saturdays a month,
And
it's
it's all-
on,
it's
and
all
it's on,
open.
and it's ongoing.
It's
and
all it's all open to the public.
It's open to the public. Yeah.
Nothing like membership like Soho's.
No membership.
Right. Brilliant things. Let's take a break and then we continue talking about this. We're talking about the Movenpick Hotel and Residences in Westlands, Nairobi. The general manager, Michael Flint, is with us in the studio this morning because Movenpick is actually telling you, you got plans for Easter? With a plan for Easter. And he'll tell us what we need, what basically is on offer. Told us about the brilliant Chef Aris, and what he's prepared with his culinary team, what they have on offer, the swimming pool. You tell us about the revolving restaurant. You tell us about all these spaces. If you go to Movenpick, get to experience this, and there are several discounts. If you actually sign up and you use the code name SPICE, then you get some discount as well. So how do you sign up? hotel.nairobi@movenpick.com. Reserve your spot today. Use the code SPICE. Get 10% off the brunch. So we said when Michael is here, we are going to ask him what else he's going to do. We're going to ask him that.
Because Michael is here.
Because Michael is here. 27 minutes to 10. Keep it here for more.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. Brought to you by Colgate.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play.
Smoking shisha and releasing things on your smoke like a Subaru. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. And you want God to give you a man who has a mission and a vision.
You may create an illusion of because he's younger, he's interested in me or he likes me, but he's using me.
Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840.
The adults in the room.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM.
You know, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not the borrowing, it's the stealing.
We've become actually a nation of thieves. The only thing we lack is an opportunity to steal.
The guys who quote the Bible and say I'm a Christian and all that, and you know they're thieves. Return what you have stolen 4 times. If you know that you have property or anything that you have stolen, just return and say, my God does not allow me to hold stolen things.
We are also a reflection of you because you elect us. You know, we don't get into our office by ourselves. We are a reflection of the people who elect us.
We don't want to go to the streets. We have a constitution that enables us, assert our will.
When the legislators are now being taken as hostage by the executive for whatever reason, we are now bound by what they want us to do.
This is just outside the realms of reality. We have impunity written into the DNA of our political class.
How old were you when you learned that Jeshi Lokop is Jeshi Lawokov?
I can't say it very well. No, you need to Jeshi Lokop.
And everyone knows. Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Yep, so we said earlier that you're going to experience some light rains in Nairobi today. I don't want to be like Ndu, who says it's going to rain and then it doesn't rain at the time she says it's going to rain. So I'm saying that there may be some rain, might be some chance of rainfall in Nairobi today.
If you come across a rain, tell us.
Yes.
So that we know that there's rain in Nairobi.
Highs of 26 and lows of 16 in Nairobi. Light rains in Mombasa. Highs of 32, lows of 25. Malindi, light rain as well. Highs of 32 and lows of 27. Nakuru, Sunny day at 26 and lows of 15. Kisumu, sunny at 27, lows of 20. Kakamega, highs of 26 and lows of 17. And Eldoret, highs of 25, lows of 14. Kampala, rain showers at 24, lows of 19. Kinshasa, cloudy day at 30, lows of 23. Lagos, Nigeria, 31 highs, lows of 26 with rain showers. Partly sunny day in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Highs of 30, lows of 24. Johannesburg, highs of 23 and lows of 13. A sunny day. If we go to London, they are going to have a sunny day and highs of 22, lows of 8. Paris, sunny day, highs of 22 and lows of 8. New York, cloudy, 21 high, lows of 13. Beijing, sunny day, a sunny afternoon into the evening. Highs of 21, and then it'll drop to 5.
Spice up your life.
I honestly have nothing at all to report about traffic today because there's absolutely no traffic anywhere today. If you think about Mombasa Road, if you think about the Thika Superhighway, the Nairobi Nakuru Road, Kangunda Road, any of the bypasses, all clear. If you had fuel, I'd encourage you to just go drive around and enjoy the city. Now that you don't have fuel, what's happening is that there's a community on social media that's basically just telling each other where you can get fuel. So go onto social media and share that information. If there's anything that we ought to talk about, maybe there's an accident somewhere, maybe there's a major incident somewhere, and we'd like to alert everybody else, let us know and we can alert them by tagging us at SpiceFM.ke.
Business news on Spice FM.
I'm Winfrey Owino. The National Treasury has allocated Kenya Airways an additional 36.6 billion shillings to help with its reorganization. In the budget for the upcoming 2022-2023 financial year, KQ will get the money as part of government's strategic investments in public enterprises. This brings the total amount of capital injected into the troubled airline by the state to 63.2 billion shillings. Initially, the state had awarded the national carrier 26.6 billion shillings in the current financial year ending June 2022. In other news, Rubis Energy has denied reports that its Chief Executive Officer Jean Christian has been deported from the country. Through a statement on Thursday, the company said that Jean had travelled to France, which houses its headquarters, to brief the bosses on the ongoing situation in Kenya. The French company also denied hoarding fuel amidst accusation from the government on the same. Elsewhere, the High Court has cancelled a 20-year lease awarded to Uganda-based Sarai Group to manage Mumias Sugar Company. Justice Alfred Mabea froze the Sarai Group deal on grounds it would benefit KCB Group and ignore the interest of Mumias shareholders and other lenders. The move is likely to delay plans of reviving the ailing sugar miller. And lastly, fuel prices in Kenya have risen by about 10 shillings. Under the new prices issued by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority yesterday, Super Petrol will retail at 145 shillings, diesel at 126 shillings, and kerosene at 114 shillings per litre. The authority's Director General Daniel Kiptoo said the government will chip in with the Petroleum Development Levy to cushion Kenyans from the high prices. With the absence of the Petroleum Development Levy, Super Petrol and diesel were to retail at 173 shillings and 145 shillings respectively. For Spice Business, I'm Winfrey Owino.
Business news, keeping you up to date on all your money matters.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done.
Conversation continues at
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
And our guest, Michael Flint, the General Manager of Movenpick Hotel and Residences in Nairobi. We are talking about what they have for us over Easter. You've told us about the kind of facility and the amenities that you have at Movenpick. The what you see as the hospitality sector and the industry and the development and the potential that it has in Nairobi, especially if you look at the Westlands area, if you look at Upper Hill and other parts. Let's first talk about this Easter, okay? And what you, Chef Aris, and the others are doing at Movenpick for Easter.
So we're putting on a magnificent brunch, Easter brunch on Sunday, and it is designed and it will cater to families. So we've got a lot of exciting kids programs, treasure hunts, Easter bunny, egg hunts, and all the treats for the kids, and of course they can all swim in our Olympic-sized pool, because it actually is 50 meters long to do the laps, but not shaped like an Olympic pool. It's very curvy. So mom and dad can come in, relax, knowing that their kids are well looked after, supervised, of course, with all these great activities. The food, I don't really even need to speak for it. We have a weekly Sunday brunch, and those of you that have been into Movenpick for brunch know the buffets are fantastic, and that's again because of Chef Harris and his culinary team. So we have, as Art said, that if you book through with the code #SPICE, you will get a discount off of
10%.
Of 10% off of your Easter brunch. We also have a great stayover package, where if you stay in one of our spacious rooms, which includes brunch the next day, for single occupancy it's $140, or the equivalent Kenyan shillings, and for double occupancy it's $160. What I would like to offer everyone is a chance to win a stay at a future date in one of our spacious rooms, and based on availability, I will upgrade that lucky couple to a suite, and it will also include a dinner for two in the View restaurant. So if you stay with us over on Saturday into Sunday, we will randomly pick out of those that stay with us this lovely prize.
So a stay at a future date at the Movenpick, upgradable to a suite, subject to availability, of course, like you've said, and dinner for two.
And dinner for two in the View restaurant.
Oh, nice.
You know, it's really delightful. Now, if you happen to be an ancient croc like myself, and you have more than one wife, and something like 5 children, what deal do you have for us?
Well, we can talk about that off air. But I guess you'll have to choose your favorite wife.
They're both favorite.
You see, City, I think the more the wives, the higher the chance of winning. Michael is going to look at who's staying at the Movenpick over the weekend and select from one of the occupants a winner. Okay. Now, if you are 5, surely that is 5 chances.
5 chances, right.
Okay.
Right.
That can
so
be
bring
tricky.
all the wives.
Right. What about, is that the only chance, or is there a chance also of bringing my large family and a few of my chosen relatives to perhaps a lunch, something that I can also win, apart from just staying? Something which would be the equivalent in terms
so
of
if
cost.
you just come for brunch without staying over.
Yes. So something that is an alternative to staying, because that would prove tricky.
Yeah, because brunch is actually a signature. One of the signatures, like you're saying, every Sunday is it's getting to become a well-known. One of the things that you want to do is go for the Movenpick brunch on Sundays. So even if somebody is not coming to stay over for Easter, they can still come over just for the brunch.
Okay.
Right.
So you've inspired me, CT. I'm going to say that I'm going to offer something else right now, live on the air. Okay.
Thank you.
And I usually do this for a family of 4. But because you've got 5 wives, the lucky number today is 5. Okay. I'm going to say that we're going to again randomly pick of those that come just for the brunch. I'm going to pick at a future brunch, a brunch package for a family of 5. How's that?
Sounds very good.
Okay.
Sounds excellent.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Future brunch for 5. Just going for this particular Easter brunch.
Yes.
It's a good thing. What is it that's a signature of the Movenpick brunch? I mean, there are others who will talk about, maybe limitless Prosecco. Others will say we've got, the best this and the other. What would you say that Chef Aris can stand up and there and say, if you come to the Movenpick brunch, you will get this that you don't get elsewhere?
Well, let me just start with the beverage. So our bottomless gin cocktails are part of the alcoholic brunch. You can also opt to just have the non-alcoholic brunch, of course, as well. But apart from gin, I mean, if you want to have a Tusker draft or a glass of Prosecco for this Easter, it's not just limited to gin. But chef's food. He's from Greece, as I said. So we've got an incredible Greek corner, which is one of the highlights. Abundant seafood. We've got an omelet and egg station, eggs cooked to order, which is part of brunch, of course. A live pasta station, crepes for dessert with ice cream and chocolate sauce and all the other toppings. A magnificent, our chef, pastry chef Abdul, is responsible on a weekly basis of creating this magnificent dessert station. We've got food for vegetarians. We've got Indian dishes. It's just a magnificent array of splendid food.
Brunch has become one of those things that has, quickly caught on in the hotels in Kenya. Sunday brunch is becoming like, one of those things that you must do, have Sunday brunch. So it's like a culture that is catching up. If you look at the growth of brunch, look at then the other meals, so dinner, do we have a culture of eating out as families, like, just find a family coming for dinner and then going home? Do we have a culture of people coming for breakfast in hotels and going? What would you say about that?
Well, let me start with breakfast. Usually breakfast is included in your room rate.
Yep.
So we have, a very abundant breakfast buffet as well that's included in your room. We are just about to change the concept and menus at our all-day dining restaurant called Baluba, and that will be effective in May, but it's going to cater a lot to what people want. So again, we're moving away from the old Swiss signature dishes that we still have some on the menu into a menu that is very diverse. We'll have a complete burger section. We're going to do a lot of East African, Kenyan dishes available. We'll continue with some of the Indian Kenyan dishes. And then just, comfort food that people want to come in and enjoy.
Brunch, what time does the brunch start?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock?
Yeah.
So why is it not called lunch?
No, just hold it. And when does it end?
It goes until 4, but if we're filled to capacity, we'll extend it. So 12 to 4 on a weekly basis.
Okay. So exactly, when you say brunch, so that word is supposed to mean it's supposed to signify a combo.
Right. Breakfast and lunch.
Yes. Now breakfast at 12, Michael.
Good point. Good point. Good point. Our hotel guests, we're ready. We're ready at 11.
Okay.
We're ready at 11. So our hotel guests, can just come down the elevator, and we're ready for them.
You'll be right there.
Yeah.
What I was asking actually in the previous question was, it is a concept that wasn't so big in the country a couple of years ago. You know, having this entire combination of breakfast and lunch, and it used to be we serve breakfast until 9:30, and then it's a Sunday.
Meaning sleep at your own peril.
Yes. It's a Sunday. You're telling someone to get up early, and you're like thinking, come on. And it started off into brunch, so you can combine breakfast into lunch, and then people coming in, so you wake up at home, chill, come, have lunch, have a nice afternoon out. It's picked on. In all the hotels, in many hotels, let me not say all the hotels. Now, the other thing that we haven't really been noticing is a culture, especially among Kenyans, of just sitting at home and deciding, guys, all of us, let's go to Movenpick for dinner, or let's get out, let's go to a certain hotel for dinner. We see these with particularly Asian communities. But Kenyan community, you don't see this. Is there a change that you've noticed? I mean, you've been in the hospitality industry in Kenya for a number of years. Is there a change that you've seen? Is there an opportunity that can be tapped?
Yes. I mean, brunch internationally is one of the events that families look forward to. And once you find a place that is enjoyable and your expectations in your experience are met, you end up becoming a frequent guest, a repeat guest, because you feel comfortable there. The staff get to know you, and you enjoy the quality of the food. When I was here before in 2012 to 2015, we created a brunch experience at the tribe, and that grew and became quite a famous brunch. And I've been doing that my whole career. But we at Movenpick, in the time of COVID, took the bull by the horns, and we wanted people to be able to come and relax in an environment, because they were going through hardships with COVID. Some of them, had lost their jobs, the curfews, the restrictions, everything was gloomy. So we wanted to open up Sunday brunch on a weekly basis, even though we weren't flourishing at the time, and just maybe breaking even, just to offer the community a chance to be able to relax and just blow off some steam, have the gin cocktails, go for a swim, relax, let the kids be looked after, and just decompress. And that's how our brunch was reborn.
There's something I witnessed and experienced in certain hotels in this country a while back, long before COVID. For lack of a better way of describing, let me call it a membership. It's something you paid on a yearly basis, but it afforded you a certain discount. When you presented yourself, even if you came with a group of people, it afforded you a certain discount. And I remember it was a very decent discount. So it encouraged me to take guests or people whom I wish to entertain to those establishments because of the discount.
Right.
Yes. Does Movenpick have such an arrangement, or have they considered having something similar?
Well, we have something globally as part of a core which transcends down to Movenpick, and that is our all enrollment points program. So you can get points for staying in the rooms, for booking meeting space, and for eating in the outlets. So you accumulate the points, and you can earn these points and burn these points while you're staying at one of the hotels. And it's not necessarily just for rooms. You can burn these points for food and beverage, for brunch, or for dinner in the view.
I'm just sitting. There's something you wanted to ask Michael before we conclude the conversation today, and this is his journey into.
Actually, off air, he's actually mentioned how it is.
There we go.
Parents who traveled the globe because of the work. Okay, an interesting heritage. I mean, listeners will assume Michael is American, and he isn't.
How did you end up here, Michael?
All right, I'll tell you a quick story. I was working in London at another hotel group, And I came to visit a very good friend that I'd worked with in the U.S. before. He's Kenyan, and he decided to bring his family over to Kenya to show them how he grew up and what Kenya was all about. But his wife said that you can only do that if we're here for 2 years. It ended up being 3, right. But she drug him back to New York, and he called me and he says, Mike, before I go back to New York, come and visit me. You've never been to Africa. Come and see what Kenya is about. You'll never get an opportunity like this again. So I said, of course. So I brought the family down for a 2-week vacation to see this friend of mine. And he basically convinced me to take over from him as GM of the Tribe Hotel. So I went back to London, packed my bags, quit my job, brought the family down, and that's how the journey started.
Were you a hotelier in before you came here?
Yes, no, I've been in the hotel business since the late 80s. I started my career with Ritz-Carlton Hotels in New York.
The thing that I found interesting was your career as an actor.
Short-lived.
But a career nonetheless.
A career nonetheless, yeah. I had a few bits and pieces. But I think the nadir of my career was that I ended up dubbing Chinese karate films in Hong Kong. And I woke up one day and I said, you know what? I could do this. I mean, it was decent money as a young man. I could do this for the next 20 years. And then I looked over at a guy that was 25 years older than me. And I said, no way. So,
there was a popular, I used to watch karate movies, but there was one popular statement that one heard very often in karate movies: "You killed my teacher." Yes. So, that was Michael.
But you know what? The outfit that I dubbed for was lip synced. So you would never have any of this, right? You killed my teacher,
and then the lips keep moving.
Michael Flint, thank you very much for joining us. Tomorrow, 00 Direct will be live from the Movenpick in Nairobi. And also, they're telling you, come to Movenpick this Easter. Whatever you're doing, they've got some great offers. Book on the platform and you get some 10% discount if you just use the code SPICE. You get some 10% discount. And if you go there and you stay at the Movenpick this weekend, you stand a chance, courtesy of Michael, of winning a future stay at Movenpick, dinner for 2, and this is also upgradable to a suite. If you go for brunch, you stand a chance of winning a future brunch for 5. Thank you, Michael.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Asante. Have a lovely Easter. See you on Monday, gentlemen.
Happy Easter.
And ladies. Happy Easter. It's 10 o'clock.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. President Uhuru Kenyatta has urged Kenyans to sacrifice themselves for the betterment of the nation as Christians across the globe commenced the observation of Easter. In a message to the nation, President Kenyatta underscored the need to champion for peace in remembrance of the sacrifice made by Jesus in line with the teachings of the Bible. President Kenyatta said he is hopeful of a united country, one where Kenyans work tirelessly to build a respected nation. He urged Kenyans to be mindful of the less privileged as they celebrate Easter. Now, Kapsaret MP Oscar Sudi has been declared the winner in the Kapsaret constituency with 14,497 votes, followed by Pauline Tuwe with 4,200 votes. Jonathan Tuwe is third with 2,020 votes, and David Koros is fourth with 1,015 votes. Adam Skipsaina has been nominated for the Keio North seat after garnering 6,523 votes and defeating his running mate James Murgor with 6,383 votes. Murgor has been KU North MP for 10 years. Speaking after being declared the winner, Kipsaina, who is an assistant to Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, expressed satisfaction with the exercise. He called on his opponents to join him in popularizing UDA as the nation prepares for the general election.
Thank my competitors for a very, very peaceful campaign, and I invite them so that we can work together as a team. KU North now has a fresh leadership, because this is the first time that they're electing a youthful leader. I know there are much that is expected of me, but I believe that if we work together as a team, we will take our constituency further. Otherwise, I am so excited and I'm happy. We had peaceful campaign. Our party primaries was one of a kind. It was similar to IBC, especially the campaign materials, the ballot papers, the procedure, and we are so happy. Our party UDA, kudos, good job.
Still on nominations from UDA, and the United Democratic Alliance Party has selected 4 aspirants in Migori County to carry its flag to the ballot, as it has given areas known to be ODM strongholds a wide berth. The party has selected aspirants in the Governor, Senate and MP seats. Aspirants will be issued with the direct nomination certificates include Rebecca Mora, who is vying for the county's gubernatorial seat, John Nyabea for the Senate seat, Scholastica Obiero Nyatike MP seat, Marwa Kitayama Kuria East seat, and Matthias Roby for the Kuria West seat. Frederick Siengo, who is Migori UDA County Coordinator, noted that they were only conducting nominations at the ward levels. Now, 20,000 households in Marsabit County will benefit from food and water, sanitation and hygiene in the ongoing week-long distribution, courtesy of Pamoja Tuungane initiative. The exercise, led by Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa, distributed food items to households in Ilerete and Saku areas. Pamoja Tuungane, a cross-sectional collaboration, seek to raise funds to provide emergency assistance to drought-stricken areas in Kenya. Kenyans have also been encouraged to donate their bongo points by dialing *126# or donating cash via 444-777 to enable purchase of food items to be distributed to some of the worst affected counties. Safaricom committed 100 million shillings for foodstuff donations to households in hardest hit counties. Now, Kenya's year-on-year food inflation has increased 27%, the 4th highest in sub-Saharan Africa on account of rising global commodity prices, according to Africa's Pulse report by the World Bank. Soaring commodity prices, which are projected to lead to high inflation, have been imposed by the Russia-Ukraine war, adding to supply chain problems, high transportation costs, and devastating weather effects from floods and droughts, which had persisted prior to the conflict in Eastern Europe. Only Sudan, Ethiopia, and Angola, with 155%, 43%, and 38% year-on-year food inflation rates respectively, had the higher rates than East Africa's largest economy between February last year and February this year. Now, 4 suspected drug traffickers are in police custody after being arrested at the Likoni Ferry Channel in Mombasa. The suspects were arrested by detectives from the DCI, Transnational and Organized Crime Unit, after they were found ferrying a substance suspected to be heroin. Ali Mwakileo, Swale Mgosi, Zakaria Mwakisua, and Juma Mgoshi were arrested after being found in possession of the substance, which was carefully concealed in a shopping bag and hidden beneath the car's bonnet. The suspects were nabbed following intelligence leads received from the DCI's free toll number. This is News. I am Dennis Acero. Happy Easter.
SpiceFM. Spice up your life.